Welcome back, audience. So yeah, this is round three of the interview series that we're doing about Nachtmystium. I guess three out of like four videos, maybe, or that's kind of what I'm feeling. I don't know
Yeah,
what
I'm
you think
thinking
about that.
four is probably enough.
I think so, and I don't
Yeah.
really know quite what we'll cover exactly over the next couple hours. I mean, obviously, I got an idea, but we'll kind of see where the discussion goes.
It's a
But
5 year window of relevance before we get into like the I was homeless and all that shit and then resilient and so forth that since then.
yeah,
We could probably blast through the century media years tonight if you wanted to, which is like
totally.
assassins through the world we left behind.
Okay. And that's kind of what I tentatively had in mind to maybe hit
Yeah.
on. Is some
Yeah.
of the like bigger shows and stuff like that. I mean, obviously we've talked off the record a lot about some of the bigger like concerts and
That
festivals and stuff like.
it's funny. I'm glad you mentioned that because I didn't
Hmm.
think about that as something of relevance. I was thinking about a whole bunch of other things about the Black Metal records, especially. Things happened with those records that I've never had happen since. I don't know anyone that has had that happen to them. And to this day, like they've held up in relevance, which is just like
Hmm.
not a lot of people have record.
Maybe. I guess, I'll push back a little bit because, pretentious, it's a word that's like you're pretending to possess something you don't really have. And I think you had
Yeah,
kind
like
of.
trying to pretend like we're a psychedelic rock band.
I think you kind of pulled it off though. Like I think you kind of
Thank you.
had it.
I think
You
that we
know.
nailed the idea for sure. Like the
Yeah.
concept was executed well, and that's surprising turnout of events because of how haphazardly we wrote and recorded it, which I think we talked a little bit about in the last episode, maybe, where I,
Hmm.
I might have mentioned that like we pretty much wrote the entire Assassins record in 10 days
Yeah.
before we fucking went into the studio. I had the riff from the Song Assassins and the main hook, and the chorus from Ghost of Grace worked out. Those are the only two things. And then the opening riff of Your True Enemy. Yeah, that was it. I remember Tony Loreno shows up, drummer, current ex-drummer of Dimmu Borgir at the time, previous drummer of Nile, previous drummer of Angel Corpse, has toured with 1349. He was filling in for Frost. That's how I met him actually.
Okay,
We
cool.
were on tour with Goat Whore and Averse Saphira opening for 1349 in 2007. And at the end of the tour, Tony Loreno came up to me. Well, we just had a great time with him and got along. He's like, "Hey, if you guys ever need a drummer for something like studio work, I would love to work with you guys," which blew our fucking minds. We're like, "Holy shit." Which is weird because he's like a techie death metal drummer, you know what I mean? And we're such
Yeah, it's
a fucking
kind of surprising.
dumb fucking rock band at our core in a way.
Nice. Yeah,
It
nice.
was like really interesting that he wanted to come work with us, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity. But when he showed up, he's like, "All right, man." He's like, yeah, I remember a couple of weeks, and like in the month ahead of time, he's like, "Are you ever going to send me any demos?" And I sent him demos with drums of the couple things I just described. Right? I was like, "This is what I got right now," but he expected him to show up to like finished shit. I was like, "No, in fact, I don't. I only have ideas other than that stuff I've already sent you." And he's like, looked at me like I was fucking crazy. It's like, you're going to do a record for Century Media and you don't have it written yet. I'm like, that's not how we work, really, man. You know,
Wow,
like we have some basic
fascinating.
ideas and then we kind of bring it to life as we're recording it. And like, how am I going to get your input on an idea if I just tell you what to do? Like, what good is having Tony Loreno play on my shit for if I'm going to tell him how to play? I'm not a fucking drummer,
Hmm.
you know? And he's a really fucking
Yeah,
good drummer.
it's
I
interesting.
think, I'm sorry.
I guess, well, I was just wondering, was the label putting pressure on you to write the record in a certain way, or they were just
No,
kind
not at
of,
all. No, 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 no.
okay,
We told
okay.
them exactly what we wanted to do, and I think it was conveniently a seemingly hip idea. And I'm no
Hmm.
idiot either. I realized I was working with Southern Lord already
Yeah,
with Twilight pretty
yeah,
extensively, and because of Twilight, uh, tours and live shows that would have been offered to Twilight if we were a live band got kicked to Nachtmystium. That was almost by design. You know,
Hmm.
I knew there were going to be things that would come downriver after that project came out if it was successful, because I was the only person of the group other than Neil from Krieg. The Krieg was not quite yet as like hardcore active as I was. He was playing shows, but not excessively. He wasn't touring yet.
Yeah,
And I was a couple years into like touring really hard. It's all I wanted to do, you know? So
Okay.
I was the only person from Twilight that was going to be doing any kind of live shit. And Southern Lord is, you know, Greg from Sun, and he wants to sell records. So, you know, Nachtmystium was the live conduit to get that sound in a concert setting in front of their audiences. So we wound up
Yeah.
touring with Sun. We toured with Boris. We've played with
Whoa.
both of those bands and Earth in Los Angeles at
Oh
one point.
shit.
Like a one-off. Yeah, bro. Like those shows are fucking packed, man. And those now you want to
Yeah.
talk about a pretentious music fan, bro. The
Yeah.
Southern Lord hipster of 2007 or 2008 is like, you know, actually shit further back than that. I just found a video of us on tour with Sun the other night. It's like it was our first tour. Neil was in the fucking band. That's how long ago this was.
Damn.
It's December 2005. We hadn't even released Instinct Decay yet. That came out 5 months later. We played a couple songs from it, and it's funny. I'm like, oh fuck, I can't put this out. I'm not singing the right lyrics because I hadn't even written them yet. You know, we were
Damn.
still in the process of recording Instinct Decay, and the vocals always come last. I believe I did it after the tour. So yeah, so it's very weird to see us playing these songs and realizing how long ago it was because we all look like fucking children, man. It's really crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
December 2005, man. So I was like 23 years old, and we were the only band supporting Sun, right? And then there was like a local opener in every city. We did
Yeah.
5 or 6 shows up the East Coast with them, like New England and
Jeez.
shit, and New York. And Scott Zassler was on that tour singing for Sun because he had sang on Black One, as did Jef Whitehead. And yeah, he came out on the road with us. So it was pretty fucking cool, man. I'm pretty sure we did the Twilight stuff possibly on that tour. I think we would have, especially if Scott was there. I can't remember for sure though. We did that with him a bunch of times. It wasn't just that one time that was caught on video. We did it consistently with him for like a couple of years. Anytime we saw him, or within like a couple 100 miles of him, we would do that beyond light.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I had no idea. It was the first time you mentioned any of that.
Yeah.
What was it like opening for Boris?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love those people. They are like wonderful human beings. They're really interesting. Japanese culture is so different than ours.
Yeah.
And they are about as Japanese as it gets from what I can gather, you know?
Yeah, I kind of picked up on that.
I guess.
Yeah. And I guess it's interesting too, because what is it? I've seen Boris, and it was just a really eclectic crowd that showed up to the show. I mean, you know, like a little bit of everything. And you talk about like, I've heard about the Southern Lord hipster, right? When that label was really big back like 20 years ago.
Yeah, totally.
And it was kind of, you know, like the old head kind of like Southern Lord crowd was there. And I picked up on some of that. And then it's like hardcore kids. And so, but I guess it kind of worked. And I guess opening for like Sun would have worked too.
It was weird. Well, here's the thing. Okay. This is the Southern Lord hipster. His god is Greg Anderson at the time, right? Because Greg Anderson is the Lord. It's like jokingly what he calls himself. I believe that's what his email is like the Lord at southernlord.com. When you get an email, it says the Lord, not Greg Anderson. If he's still got the same shit today, and I bet he does.
Oh man.
So it's just kind of funny. But no, the Southern Lord catalog and bands that affiliated openly with Sun because they're so fucking like exclusive, you know?
Yeah.
They play art galleries and shit, dude. You know?
They do.
Even O'Malley lives in Paris and is like a legit like traditional artist. Moved from New York City to Paris after growing up in the Pacific Northwest and being present for the entire grunge scene too. A lot of people don't know that. Greg and Steve were like mixed up in the Nirvana world, you know?
That's what I've heard.
Oh yeah, they're from Seattle, dude. You know, it's like any other scene. Nirvana is just a band that got huge. If you'd lived in Seattle in 1990, you likely would have known all those guys too.
Totally.
And they were super close with like the Melvins, who are also from up there. I believe Melvins are from the same city Nirvana is, from Aberdeen.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. And so they were around for all of that shit. And then also, I don't know if you know this, but Stephen O'Malley from Sun was probably one of the three people at the spearhead of bringing black metal to the United States and getting word out about it here. He did a lot of design work. I believe he designed the layout for Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk from Emperor. I know. I mean, they put out Thor's Hammer. Have you ever heard that band? Not the American
one. Greatest album cover in history.
Yeah, with the little blonde girl on it.
Yeah, Fate Worse Than
That
Death.
chick is like fucking 5'1" at best and probably like 100 pounds soaking wet. She's tiny. And she's got the scariest death metal voice you've ever heard, right?
Yeah.
So that chick used to date Ishan from Emperor way back in the day. They were photographed together in Spin magazine, which in February of 1996, which I talk about in almost every interview when people are like, when did you discover black metal? I discovered it from Spin magazine, February 1996. Trent Reznor's on the cover, big orange background, and within it is like a 4-page, very detailed article about all of the really extreme shit that had occurred in Norway 3 years earlier. You know, I mean, dude, it was pretty close. It felt like an eternity ago at the time as a kid, I remember, because when those things were actually occurring, like when A Blaze in the Northern Sky was recorded up till the point Euronymous is dead, that's like the years I'm talking about. It's like, 91 to August of 93. So it was literally like 3 years earlier, like as I'm discovering it. I was pretty close to
well, no, for sure, and I'm sure it felt like an eternernity at the time. But
I felt like, oh God, I'll always be thought of as the guy who wasn't there. He was almost there, but no, I was there, bro, because I had to get on America Online to like meet people, and because there's no one into this shit, dude. I think I was alive and listening to black metal like obsessively for probably a year and a half before I met another human being in the flesh who also liked that shit. And it was literally like some European guy who was much older than me. I was in high school at the time. This guy's probably like 22. And he's walking down the street from work or something. And I'm coming home from school and I had a Cradle of Filth shirt on or something. Like it was a Dusk and Her Embrace shirt, if I recall.
Yeah.
And he said, oh my God, man. He was a Ukrainian guy, which is kind of funny. State of affairs. And he's like, oh my God, man, where did you come from? I have not met any Americans that listen to this music, blah, blah, blah. And the next thing I know, I'm literally tape trading with this guy. He comes over with like a pack of Maxell UR90s and 10 of them. He's like, tape every record of yours that I don't have. And, he'd go through my shit and pick it out. And then he'd tell me what he has and he'd go home and make me cassettes. It was really cool, actually. You know what I mean?
That is cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
And we were like, we only had each other. There was no one else we could talk to about how like Burzum makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up when you walk through the woods listening to it in a way that nothing does. Things like that. Like things that you can't just like casually talk about with, It's I didn't have that at that point, and nobody understood why I was so into this terrible sounding music that no one had ever heard anything that sounds like,
Yep.
Anyways, dude, I'm kind of rambling. I'm sorry. I don't know where we...
No, it was a great ramble. Like, it's really interesting. And obviously, I think, black metal, it attracts a certain kind of personality. I definitely relate to a lot of what you said insofar as you kind of discover it and you listen to it a lot by yourself. And then you find somebody else that's into it. You kind of get somebody else into it.
I feel like those days are kind of gone, man, because the internet's right there for you. The second you discover it, you can go talk to 50 billion people that are screaming from the rooftops right off of the screen that's what they're into and that's who they are. And it's such like an identity thing. It's kind of gotten fucking gay in that way. You know what I mean?
It has, and it doesn't help that the algorithms kind of feed into a lot of this crap. And
bro. Well, it's just not like, dude, no matter how, I think it's funny, man. These younger bands, there are so many of them that are doing things like intentionally restrictive of their ability to grow because of cult sake. Like, I'm only going to put this out on tape, limited to 50, and if you don't get it, you don't get it, and blah, blah, blah. And if my fans respect me, they won't put it online digitally. This kind of attitude, like trying so hard to have something that exists outside of the digital realm, it's almost impossible to do.
Yeah, that's a great point. It is a good point.
And it's just a nostalgia fucking masturbatory technique for people who weren't there, trying to feel or summon what I just described, that moment when I met that dude on the street, I can't tell you how much that was like meeting a hot chick. It was almost better.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, like it was oh, my light just went out here.
Yeah.
It was like the one of the better moments of my young life because all of a sudden I had this cool friend that I could share this shit that was clearly carving my life path in right in front of me.
Yeah.
I knew it
Yeah.
was happening, but I had no one to share that with, and I didn't know where to find that person. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
The only place I could find anyone was in this like America Online. They had like chat forums, right? That
Yeah.
were literally
Yeah.
just like chat, fucking like imagine 4chan looking stuff, but a little
Oh yeah.
less like HTML looking in how it's presented. Do you know
Yep.
what I mean? Uh,
I do. Yeah. I'm
but
friends
still,
with a
like
bunch
almost
of.
all text, no pictures,
Yes.
no videos, no fucking
No.
hyperlinks. Even I don't think it's just people talking. And
Yeah.
I met several people on there who like were like relevant to the music world or to the black metal community at least for the coming 25 years like I've been, you know. I met this guy named Lance Gifford who was in a band called Bitter Peace from Connecticut. They
Yeah.
did a couple albums
Yeah. Yeah.
in Oregon. They did a couple albums in Elegy Records.
Hmm.
Uh, that guy is the guy who gave me my first fucking tape trade. And what he did, I was talking to him on there, and he was like on the inside track with the Norwegians because he's an older guy. Like I said, he's passed away. He's older.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was probably in his 50s if he were still alive today, like higher 50s. So,
Mm.
so he was around early on, and he had been writing to these bands and people long enough that he got an
Damn.
advance copy of Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk 6 months before Street Date, and he made me a dubbed cassette of that with De Mysteries Dom Satanas on the other side of it and sent that to me. That was the first tape I ever got in the mail.
That's
So
fucking
like
cool,
my
man.
first tape trade, I got like a 6 month advanced version of the brand new Emperor album. It's probably one of like 10 people in the world that had that at that moment, you know? It was such a
Dope.
fucking cool thing. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
crazy.
how is this happening? Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's those moments where I've realized, like, holy shit, this, like, things like this can happen. It
Yeah.
can be real. It just happened, you know?
Totally.
And yeah,
Totally.
those moments began to grow because I believed in the ability for them to
Hmm.
happen. You know what I mean? I think it's stuff like that that made it feel like I could actually reach out and touch this world. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I'd been into Nine Inch Nails and fucking Ministry and Rage Against the Machine, like, you know, shit that fucking kids in seventh grade listened to then that wore black. Slayer.
Yep.
Um, but I was more into like the Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails, Ministry side of shit, Killing Joke, you know,
Yep.
gothy. I was like a little gothy kid that was really into black metal, and I didn't realize that I was as much of a metalhead as I was until I was probably like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
But you know, there was just something about the black metal that grabbed me, man.
Yeah.
And the one thing I remember is that every band sounded like so different, but kind of the same. Like it sounded kind of like the
That's
same
a
thing.
great point.
Like listen
Yeah.
to Pure Holocaust and listen to Havish Lashet Tarush from Burzum.
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
Like,
then like Enslaved and
and then
Mayhem
Enslaved
and
Frost or something, and then
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
precisely,
Yeah.
and then Death Crush. Like it's
Hmm.
so wildly variant. There's really not a lot of bands that started sounding like each other
No.
until like we all came along. You know what I
For
mean?
sure. Yeah.
Like
Like late
that third
90s.
wave, early 2000s, late 90s, you know,
Hmm.
class of black metal that I come from.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. I guess to your point about like bands nowadays, I do think you're totally right that it kind of gets like masturbatory, and
Yeah, it's like
that's like
you find a way
real.
to be cool and
Yeah,
present yourself respectfully in the cards that are dealt to you here. You know what
totally.
I mean?
Yeah,
It, it's like there's more ways to be authentic than to be highly inauthentic to the point that you're forcing it on
yeah.
yourself and the people that like your music. You're like making it intentionally difficult. You're being a dick right off the bat because you
That's a
think
good point.
somebody else might think you're cool that's also a dick. You know? That's
Yeah.
how I see it.
Well, and it's just super performative, and like that's
That's what I
really
mean.
what like being pretentious is you're trying to
Exactly.
pretend that yeah, you're. Yeah, there's
Like,
no going
I got
back.
this new record, but you've probably never heard of the band. That guy,
Exactly.
you know what I
Because
mean?
I made like 3 copies in my basement and I gave them to my mom and,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
That's
Like,
also a great cover for My Band Sucks and will never ever be able to sell 1,000 records. So I'm not going to embarrass
yeah.
myself and let anyone know. And I'm just going to make 50 of these. And, you know, yeah, anybody can sell 50 fucking records if they get a cool enough cover and a logo,
Oh,
you know,
well, yeah, of course.
whatever.
Yeah. You could just
People
run
can
around
also
to,
bullshit about it, you know, people can fucking
yeah.
lie and they do, you know.
Well, we would have these guys that would turn up to local shows in town and they just have like a stack of fucking CDs and they're like, hey, you want a CD? It's only $1. It's like, fuck, sure, for $1. And you pick it
Yeah.
up and I've got one in my drawer over here. It's like the worst shit you'll ever hear in your life.
Oh,
And he's
bro.
using like a free music editing software, so
Yeah,
there's like
yeah.
a click every 5 seconds or whatever.
Garage band.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But let's get back onto the timeline,
Yes,
because I
sir.
know the last thing we mentioned was the Worldfall EP.
Yep, we got
Um,
through that.
yeah, we did. We mentioned it.
Did you get to
What's the
that picture
timeline like?
list?
What's the gap between Worldfall and Assassins as far as like the recording of it? Because I know they're both listed on, the internet is coming out in 2008.
Right.
So I was just kind of curious about the timeline there.
The record was recorded in December of 2006. Worldfall, that is.
Okay.
And what
Okay.
interesting fact about Worldfall, this is the one like critical detail that I kind of forgot to touch on last time.
Hmm.
Worldfall shouldn't exist. Worldfall was supposed to be a split with Leviathan on Southern
Really?
Records.
Huh.
And at the time, Battle Command, my label,
Yeah.
and I was very good friends with Jef from Leviathan, as everybody knows. We had done Twilight, and I had just gotten signed to Century Media, and Jeff's seeing me over here paying my bills, you know, with my
Yeah.
Black Meddle shit, and he's not getting shit. And he's selling significantly more records than me in the long run. And it was like
Mm.
probably true then too. You know, my ego's not big enough that I can't admit that. He was very popular then. He was selling a lot of CDs for
Yeah.
the Bund. And the bottom line is he just signed a really bad record deal, you know? Like the sad thing is like the
Hmm.
situation that he was presented with was one he had agreed to. Not realizing or having any sense or reason to believe that it would be a situation where anyone would be telling him you might be owed money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He never
Yeah.
believed that. And also Jef is a super well known tattoo artist.
Yep.
Like he gets booked up momentarily after he fucking announces that he is sorry, my phone just fucking got on low battery mode. Hold on, we'll cut this out. That look about the same.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So Jef Whitehead was doing his tattoo thing. He's making bank doing that. So it's not like he needed Leviathan income necessarily
Yeah.
at that moment, anyways. Like he was doing really well. He had his own shop with Tim Lehigh from Draugar and a couple other very well-known tattoo artists out in San Francisco called Blackheart Tattoo.
Yeah.
Neil and I were actually present in September of 2004 with Jef had us come out the week that his new tattoo shop that he just built from the ground up with a bunch of people, like literally and figuratively, is opening. That's
Yeah.
the week we chose to do Twilight. Kind of like how I told you in the last video that I chose to do the other Twilight meetup the week I was playing with Satirical. You know, it was just weird, man. It was kind of, we all had so much cool shit going on in our lives in that moment. I think that's
Huh.
part of like where a lot of the spark for the artistic, output of that time came from was, just being present for stuff like that, and seeing like
Yeah. Yeah.
realizing I didn't know. Someone says they're a tattoo artist to a guy with no tattoos at the time. That doesn't mean shit to me. You know what I mean? I was like, you could be a guy that people fucking joke about that does flash off the walls for all I know. Like
Yeah, for
I have
sure. Yeah.
because I'm not involved in that world. And at the time, I had never been to the West Coast. Either the West Coast is weird, man. There are like West Coast people out here that only deal with the West Coast and West Coast people, and that's like their whole view of the world. You know what I mean? I meet people like that in San Francisco every time I go there. It's very weird.
Okay.
It's like super insular. They think they're fucking better. Their bands are better than everybody else's, and they're like the sun hipster, like on overload. you know?
Yep.
Think the South
Yeah.
Park episode of people smelling their own farts and being like,
Yeah.
oh, like that. You know? That was my
Yeah.
experience out there. I had total culture shock. I was like, what the fuck is up with all these people, man? Everybody's fucking weird here, man. It's like
I hear you, man.
everybody's really sensitive. Don't say that. Like, what? Like, excuse me?
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
we had a couple moments where Neil and I were like, holy shit, we are not in fucking Kansas anymore. You know what I mean?
I can't even imagine. And I'm sure it's only gotten worse as the years have worn on.
Yeah. So, anyways, let me get back to what we were saying. I was talking about the Nachtmystium Leviathan split that became Worldfall. So Jef realized he'd signed this terrible deal, and he was selling enough records at that point that we could see. You know, it was obvious.
Yeah.
And because I had released 2 splits for him, I had released the split with Zasthar and the split with Saptharan, which was later released as The Blind Wound, as a standalone mini LP. And those 2 CDs, I remember, I think between the 2 of them, I sold about 14,000 units in like 2 years. You know, a little more the Zasthar one, obviously, but like I did just fine on the other one too. So I know for a fact that Leviathan was selling at least that. You know what I mean? So I'm telling Jeff this, and I'm paying him. You know, my deal with Battle came out. I'd give you $1,000 for every 1,000 CDs I made. You know, give you $1 a CD, give you cash or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
And he was happy with that. So you know, he was getting checks for $2,000-$3,000 a couple times in a row. And he's like, "What the fuck's up with my record label?" I'm like, "Well, it's funny you asked, dude. I didn't want to say anything, but I was instructed by Chris Black in 2004 while I was shopping Eulogy 4 to get it released. Moribund offered me a deal then. They were the first label to offer me a deal. And luckily I knew Chris. He's like, wipe your ass with that and flush it down the toilet. And don't go near it again because it's that bad." It was insane. It was like a 10 record deal or some shit.
Okay.
Jef signed it. So did Scott, dude. They both fucking just went for it, man. I couldn't believe it when Scott did it because Scott was like already getting big. Jef didn't know any better. He'd done demo tapes that kind of sold around town, but other than that, they were all famously sold at Amoeba in San Francisco by Stevel from Creebane, you know? And, you know, the 30 dorks in fucking the hate in San Francisco that are into black metal had heard of it, and that was it, you know? So again, Jef had no reason to think that I believe he remembered being surprised that somebody wanted to put out his records in that capacity. You know, he had done Verrader before he signed to Moribund. I'm remembering this now. He did do a double CD for Tumult Records from San Francisco, run by Aquarius Records out there. Have you heard that record, Verrader?
No, I'm really not the biggest Leviathan guy, just in general, or like his sub projects, stuff like that.
You don't like
obviously. Say again.
You don't like any of it?
I do.
You like Lurker of Chalice?
It's all right. It's
you
not
don't
really
have to like people that like Lurker of Chalice. I know.
No, that's kind of the issue, right? A little bit, and just
I feel that, dude. I get it. I'm on kind of biased because I know Jef personally,
of course,
you know, and I was really fucking close with that guy. He's one of my best friends. He lived with me for like 2 years on and off.
Oh yeah,
you know. So, but I didn't like Leviathan before I knew him. I wasn't into the electric drum sets that he used on his first 2 records on Moribund. And the demos and shit. I was like, it's like a fucking out of time drum machine because it's a human, but it sounds like a shitty drum machine recorded on a 4-track. You know, that's how the Twilight drums were recorded. That's what that is.
Huh.
So
it's the same E kit or
the V kit, man. We recorded Twilight 1 on Jef Whitehead's 4-track in the little tiny, closet sized room that he had his V drums in and his 4-track that he made all those drums on.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. I didn't realize at the time how much history had been made in that room. As I was recording something that is like, definitely a little blip on the radar on the black metal history, Oh,
well, for sure.
And
I guess it's weird too, because that one, he cut some like goofy interview with some like larger kind of publication.
The Vice thing, the one man black metal.
And it's in that room. So I know what the room looks like. And that's the only reason I'm kind of like, oh, that's cool. Is I know what the room looks like, thanks to Vice. But yeah, all the Vice black metal shit is cheesy and
Vice is a horrible. company that got
Yeah,
the slow death that they deserved.
I'm glad Vice is gone. Put it to you that way.
They were fucking awful, dude. They let
Yeah,
Neil write
horrible.
that fucking article about me.
Oh yeah, yeah, we'll get
they
to
put it
that.
up on Noisy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool though.
Hey man, I'm cool with being a villain. I don't behave villainously anymore, so I'm in good shape. I can get behind that.
And it's one of the things that I appreciate about you is yeah, just and again, we'll get to this later, I assume, but the comeback with Predator Phoenix and that music video was I thought it was fucking dope. But
I was not a fan myself, but that was the labels thing. But I think it's cool that it had the effect that the owner thought it would have on everybody on you. That maybe I'm biased because it's fucking about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I hear
we'll talk
you.
about that later.
Yeah, we'll get there. So Worldfall was kind of a can split with Leviathan.
I didn't finish what I was trying to say. Where I was going with all that is that I tried to release Massive Conspiracy Against All Life by Leviathan. We tried to release it under the name Lurker of Chalice and call it Perverse Calculus and put it out on Battle Command. And NED, Norma Evangelium Diaboli in Europe, they have the sub-label called End All Life that's actually been around longer than NED has. And they were involved. They were going to be the European manufacturer and distributor of it. End All Life, not NED. And then Battle Command was going to do it in the United States, and Southern Lord would have distributed it. And Jef had sent a demo of one of the tunes to Odin at Moribund. And of course, that's the one that I put on the Battle Command website as this new Lurker of Chalice. Jeff's telling me, he's like, he had material to give to Odin if he was going to force him to give him a record. He just didn't want to give him this record because it was the first one with real drums. That the Blind Wound is technically his first Leviathan recording with real drums. I remember I helped him set the mics up. I said, this is how Andy from Judas Iscariot did it when I worked with him for one time. I'm like passing that information on. It's like that kind of 4-track, these two shitty microphones, and that's it, Yeah. And get it like a little fucking mixer box so that you don't have to eat up 2 tracks with the, you run them into the box and single channel. And that's it. I'm like, that's it. And so if you listen to The Blind Wound and then you listen to Massive Conspiracy Against All Life, which in my opinion, if I had to pick Leviathan records that are the best, it's those two. They sound fucking furious. When he's blasting, it's not all snare like the fucking V drums he used. It was all bap, 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 bap. You can hear it. Yeah, I think it's weird. A blast beat in black metal, especially a 1-foot blast beat, should feel like a heartbeat. You should hear the kick drum and a fucking hi-hat or a ride. That's it. Do you know what I mean? The snare should be like secondary and soaked. There should be a fucking, a properly timed reverb on it so that it just becomes a wash within the it's the heartbeat of the song. And I felt like his other records with those V drums and the first Twilight record, they don't have that effect because they're cheap V drums. You know what I mean? So
and I reckon that's kind of why I have a bit of a thing with. There's just something about the music to me that's kind of off.
About Leviathan,
I just can't really get into.
He's into a bunch of really weird, very musical music. Jef is a really I think Jef is first and foremost a drummer, and he's a drummer that likes shit like King Crimson and fucking Danny Carey. Tool.
That's really interesting you say that because
I'm not saying Jeff's necessarily a Tool fan, but he's into drummers like that. He likes things, he was always throwing curveballs at me on the albums. I did 3 records with Jef. I did 4 records with Jef where he plays drums. So I've recorded a lot of fucking records with Jef. And including Nachtmystium record. He played on Addicts. A lot of people don't know that or don't realize it, but that's Jef Whitehead playing drums.
He's credited,
and a lot of the weird shit he does, that's his little signature shit. It like totally threw me for curveballs, and it actually helped me evolve as a musician in a way that I don't think I got from any other player in any way that I've ever played with. I absorbed more like musical knowledge from him just by having to learn to play with him because he's so fucking good, because he's into shit like that. And I didn't get it at first, especially with Leviathan. I think I feel what you're saying. too many parts, not enough repetition. Where's the song kind of feel?
Kinda.
Where's the chorus? He doesn't write music like that. I had to like
No.
accept that. He does occasionally, and when he does, it's fucking great. You know, once in a while you
Yeah.
hear a riff or a song of his that's like, dude, why don't they all sound like that? You know?
Yep. Yep.
But you know, I'm sure people could say the same thing about any band, but he
Of course, and that's why like we're kind of splitting hairs here in the sense that I can tell that he's a real artist,
he
like a
is.
real like he thinks about it, you know, in that kind of high-minded, you know,
Yeah,
sort of
he's
way,
just
which I
he's a
appreciate.
highly volatile human being. You know, I've
Yes.
seen Jef at incredible highs where he's doing super well in life and he's sober and doing
Yeah.
great, and I've seen him borderline homeless, addicted to crack and heroin, just like me. You know,
Yep.
doing it
Yep.
together. You know, us
Mhm.
living together was a scary situation, bro.
Yeah.
We're lucky.
Yeah, that's how it goes, man.
That shit. Well, he drank. Ida was never a big drinker. Jef would
Yeah.
drink himself to the point that he'd wind up in the hospital. He'd go on like 3-day benders where he just wouldn't stop. He'd be drinking like straight vodka and like pounding beers on top of it. When I say beers, I mean like malt liquor, shit like
Oh,
four.
yeah.
He would drink 4 Locos. You know, it's like Jef was oftentimes at the 7-Eleven at 7 a.m. when they opened to get one, that kind of thing, you know? And that was the thing I think I saw him struggle with the most, honestly. He seemed to be able to kick heroin way easier than I could. But the
Yeah.
drinking thing, that was like his dope problem. So he would
Mhm.
just go on these like wild benders, man. And I was so far gone in my shit, you know? And we both like didn't have real jobs and we had money. It was fucking bad,
Yep.
dude. There's
Yeah,
a
no,
lot of that time
that's how it goes.
so
Yeah.
I just remember there was like 500 cigarette burns on the couch that he was living on because he would be wasted or nodding out and drop his smoke, and he'd do it 5 times a day.
Man.
It was crazy. My fucking chick I was living with this, I was so pissed. She's like, "What the fuck
I mean,
is this guy?"
dude, I know cats that have burned their house down doing that.
Yeah, dude, no, like
You
it was
know?
like it was that bad that was like there was like a couple times where I think I had to raise my voice and be like, "Dude, you're gonna burn my
Yeah.
fucking house down." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy, man. That's crazy.
we've had some fucking wild times. I'm not going to get into too much like shit because I don't want to like, you know, talk
Oh,
about
for
his
sure.
personal moments without, you know, him being present or whatever. But I can assure
Yeah.
you, that guy is one of the only people I've ever encountered that can keep up with me when I'm using hard drugs.
Yeah.
Like he is as gnarly as I am and drinks on top of it like that. It's fucking. I am surprised that he's never. I'm surprised he's alive. You know, and he smokes like multiple packs of non-filtered Camels a day, and has the entire time I've known him.
He smokes the filterless Camels.
Yeah, bro, his fingers are like fucking brown because he smokes. Yeah, bro, they're like calluses of fucking like oil and fucking nicotine tar, you know, or tobacco.
Like some Vito Corleone shit. That's crazy.
It's fucking kind of gross, but man, he's like, it suits his personality, man. Jef and I had like a stupid falling out because of like kind of a Yoko Ono situation. I'll always believe, or at least try to convince myself that that's what it was because I wouldn't want to think Jeff's that much of a fucking bitch. But I don't talk bad of Jef because the time I had with him, I fucking loved that dude, man. We had so much fun together, and he's just like uniquely hilarious, you know. And we were really close to like finish what I've been trying to say this whole time. I'll be like, we were so close that he tried to bring me his Leviathan record that he didn't want to give to more of them. And Odin heard it. This is what I've been trying to say for 15 minutes. I'm just telling stories throughout but it's all relevant. I'm staying.
No, it is. I dig it, man. I dig it. Yeah.
Massive conspiracy against all life, you know, had to happen because Odin put it together. You know, Jef did not tell me he had sent a demo to Odin of anything. And if he had, I would have said, what songs did he hear? And I won't put that one on the internet, you know, but he did. So I remember coming home on like, I don't know if I was coming home from a tour or what, but it was Thanksgiving weekend, right? It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. It was the day I believe Lehman Brothers collapsed in the 2008 meltdown. It was the first day of that bullshit. That happened right around Thanksgiving. And I remember I got home with my then girlfriend. We checked our mail, and there is a fucking threatening letter from a lawyer in Washington, and on behalf of Odin Thompson at Moribund Records, threatening to sue Battle Command because we're gonna put out this Lurker of Chalice album, and that's his.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Man.
yeah, man. Well, and things, I don't know. You were probably so young at the time you wouldn't know, but like that year before that 2008 thing happened, like before they actually admitted, yeah, things are fucked. Dude, you could tell, man. I remember that was the first time I really struggled as an adult. I was doing Battle Command from the minute I moved out of my parents' house. That was like I quit my job and started that when I got my first apartment. And I did that, and this is like fucking three and a half years into that, and like people had just stopped spending money since like the summer of 2008 all the way up until this moment around Thanksgiving of 2008. That's when I got the letter from Moribund. I had also just signed to Century Media, or like we'd like agreed that I was going to sign with them, and we were working all that out. I was working out signing with Candlelight in Europe, and I get this letter from Odin threatening to sue me over Jeff's record. And it was in that moment that I actually realized Battle Command's got to be done. Like, this is like, it's a liability because of things like this potentially happening, you know, and having to be dealt with. That could have been way worse, you know. He could have fucking done it after I put it out. Or after I sent it to the press. Oh, dude, he could have fucking kneecapped me if he'd really wanted to. Should have waited until I had it in production and sent me a cease and desist. And then I have like $5,000 worth of Leviathan CDs I can't, or Lurker of Chalice CDs I can't release. You know?
Oh, yeah, man.
He could have done that, but he didn't. So,
yeah.
But regardless, the combination of the economy shitting out and that happening is what led me to sell Battle Command to, I sold the stock, all my dead stock to Relapse in 2000, late 2008, right around the time Assassins came out, and I moved to Chicago at that time. So
cool.
Yeah, but that's the story of Worldfall. That's what it was supposed to be, and it wasn't. So I had just signed to Century Media, and I said, "Well, hey guys, guess what? I have this material that is no longer going out on Southern Lord. Would you like this right now?" And they put it out. So that's how it came to be.
Okay, man, and you know. You brought it up enough in some of our private conversations that I realized, like, okay, Worldfall, like, there's a lot that was going on.
There was so much. I mean, listen to how much I just explained, man, of what was going on at that time. It was crazy, bro. You know, and that was the beginning of like a 5-6 year run of just everything going up at a fucking ascension rate of like that, bro. It was nuts. Like nothing bad was happening and only good, and they were like things that I'd never experienced anyone in my life having had happen to them. It was weird. I almost had to be like, is this really going on? You know?
Yeah, I can imagine. Because Worldfall was the first Century release, right?
Yeah, but like, no one really noticed it. I think I mentioned this last time. You know, Assassins came out just a few months after they put Worldfall out because they hadn't planned for Worldfall. You know what I mean? Like I said, it was supposed to be a split with Leviathan. And my idea with that was that'll be great exposure via Leviathan and Southern Lord to whatever we're going to do for Century Media. But anyway, so because it was a last minute thing and it was a mini LP and it was coming out just a mere months before the real record that they were, you know, and Assassins, like out of the two records, like obviously a label's going to be more excited about Assassins. They put all the money and time into that. So there was no press done for Worldfall. I'm not sure I ever saw a review. It took years for people to like know it even existed. At least it felt like that to me. And it's cool that people talk about and listen to it as much as they still do. That's one of the records that gets played a lot.
Yep. Yeah, no, that is cool. So let's move on to Assassins. We talked a lot about Worldfall.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you recorded the record in 10 days. And you told me some stuff.
Maybe 12.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure it was 2 sessions like usual. We probably did like 7 days at the we did 5 days for drums, I think, at one studio. And then we probably took a week or a week and a half off and came back and listened to what we had made and did the rest of it then. I don't remember doing that with Assassins, but we did that with every album before it and afterwards. So I'm assuming that was the case then.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Because it was done at 2 different studios. The drums were done at a place that was owned by R. Kelly, which is kind of one of the investors. It's called Engine Studios. It's not there anymore. It's still a studio, but it's not Engine Studio. But there was a real hoity-toity place, and they had analog tape machines. And we stupidly, in our ignorant young minds, were like, oh, we should record the drums to fucking analog. It'll sound fucking sick. And we made our record like significantly more expensive and a pain in the ass to make, you know? But
Hmm.
that we lived and learned. That's the only time I did that. But that's why we were at 2 studios. The second half of it, all the vocals, the overdubs, the mixing, all that occurred at a place called Semaphore, which was Sanford Parker's studio, the guy who mixed and mastered it.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah. So, but when I said 10 days, what I meant by that is we were with Tony for what I think it was 10 days at my house before we
Okay.
stepped foot in the studio. He was at my house for like 3 weeks total between the
Mm,
prep work and the fucking actual recording event. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So we pretty much finished all the songs like in my basement, and then there was certain stuff that we literally did at the studio. I don't remember all of it because we were like drinking and just doing insane
Oh,
work.
yeah.
We were really fucked up. We were stupid and young. It was our first big record. You know, we were partying, you know. I wish that we had been more sober during that because we probably would have made an even better record, you know. And I
Yeah,
say that like when I say even better, I know people like that record. I don't like that record, but
for
people
sure.
and
Yeah, no, they do. It really caught on with certain people. And you know, when you explained to me kind of the concept of the album cover where
I,
kind of riffing off of like psych rock and Grateful Dead and stuff like that. And it's a black metal record that your dad could walk into the record store and see it and buy it.
that is exactly what I was trying to do,
Yeah.
you know. And my parents always hated the fucking music I made because it was so negative and dark. They're like, man, if you're gonna of all the shit you could be playing that makes you a living, this is what you're gonna do, you know? And
Yeah.
so a part of me was like wanting to be experimental. My dad raised me on all that music that
Yeah.
inspired me to want to do something like this. You know, Pink Floyd, The Grateful Dead, Black Sabbath, David Bowie, fucking. I heard a ton of Steely Dan. My dad was Mr. Steely Dan, Mr. Yacht Rock, fucking.
That's cool.
And I was into all of it as a child, you know. And I was really, really into the Beatles when I was a kid, when I was like little, you know. And then I got into Nirvana and so on and so forth. So the black metal thing, they were kind of thrown off by because, like, other than that, I listened to mostly like pretty tolerable music. So, anyways, like
Yeah.
as I got older, I started thinking, like, how can I make this like something that someone like my dad and with that outlook on music, where they hear just noise in this, maybe
Yeah.
there's a way that I can fucking, you know, bring the worlds together. Because that music, I don't care what people want to say or think, like that music that I'm describing from the past that he was into was part of the road that led to an environment where black metal would be created. It's part of like the rock and roll story, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a lot. It's some of the best music ever.
Absolutely. And those
Yeah.
music, I understand now why my dad didn't hear, you know, fucking Jimi Hendrix on the other end of the Emperor and Enslaved split or whatever. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there's been a continuous degradation in like what the fucking public level of acceptance of your quality of musicianship is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
said that
Totally.
very well, but like, yeah, you had to be good back in the day. Go watch Geezer
Yeah.
Butler play bass in Black Sabbath. You know what I mean? That's what
No
you used to have
kidding.
to do to be a bass player in a band. You just play like
Yep.
that or something similar to it. You know, be that
Yep.
skilled. It's wild, man. People cannot fucking do that anymore. Same thing can be said about Tony Iommi or somebody. You know,
Yeah.
it's fucking
No doubt. No
whole
doubt.
different level of showmanship as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting now because you can see it back through, you know, 2020 vision looking backwards, and it's interesting to see how that kind of occurred. And I guess because I knew a lot of people felt that way about my music or the genre of music I was playing, anyways, I saw it a challenge to try to capture an audience bigger and outside of the one that we currently had. That was the goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
knew we would lose some people, but I thought we might gain, you know, 500% of the people we lost, you know? And that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me to hear you kind of lay it out in such kind of straightforward terms, I guess, because conceptually that's sort of what I was thinking was going on, like with the band at that time. And I
Mm,
mean, again, like you're an ambitious guy, like you're a hustler, so naturally,
I've
you're
done
gonna
a
reach
bunch of
that
records
point.
by then too. You got to remember
Yeah,
that too.
totally,
I've been
totally.
super active for 5 years or 6 years at that point. Seven.
Yeah,
December of 2007 is when that album was recorded, and it came out in May of 2008.
yeah,
So May or June, something like that. But yeah, it was. I was ambitious. I was a kid. I had done a bunch of stuff. I never wanted to repeat myself. That was my two goals were whenever I made a record, and I've been telling people this since I was a kid. My goals are to make something that I haven't made before, like evolve my music in a noticeable and impressive way in some way, shape, or form, and create something that I don't already own from somebody else. Those were the
yeah,
two goals. Be unique and never repeat yourself,
yeah,
and hold on to your fucking core audience. That's a challenge.
yeah.
People like Ghost of Grace. Are they gonna like, Silencing Machine? I don't know, like they're pretty different songs, right? So the challenge is
Mhm.
how do we fucking, capture that audience and keep it kind of, you know? I liked that. I
Gotcha.
liked feeling like, I mean,
Yeah,
dude, it's how fucking risky it is to do something like that when you're known for something like Demise,
yeah. I mean, no kidding.
right? Like Instinct Decay, we like I told you in the last episode, we almost didn't put that out, bro.
Yep.
You know, it was
Yeah,
such
and
a weird
that's
record, and then we didn't like
yeah,
the way it sounded and thought it should have sounded better because it was so weird. It better
that's
sound
just
fucking
crazy to me, man.
killer. Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah,
And the one thing that we were unsure about is the thing that everybody seems to love about that album. They're like, nothing sounds like it. It's like this weird, muddy, murky mess, but I love it. Like,
yep.
really? We thought everybody would think it sounded terrible. Like, you know, it was weird. So
Yeah, and again, it's just fascinating, and I do, especially within black metal. I imagine it's pretty hard to try to like innovate or do anything
that's the
kind of like
other thing,
outside
man.
the
It's like, yeah,
box.
I was bored. Like I said, I've
Yeah.
done a bunch of records already.
Hmm.
You know, you can only play a fucking like, a tappy fucking dark drone,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
kind of. You can only do that so many times.
Yeah.
You can only rewrite fucking Burzum songs 2 or 3 times, a couple different ways before you're jerking yourself off.
Yeah. It's all
Bands
great
lose me
points.
when I don't hear new coming out of them. They sound like
Hmm.
they've become a career band or something. Like I'm just doing this because this is what we do and this is what worked
Yeah.
before. And I don't give a fuck anymore.
Keeps the lights on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking lame, bro. I like to fucking like live. I make music the way I live, like dangerously, like
Hmm.
gambling with my life sometimes. Like and gambling with my music career, but especially when I was younger. When I was
Yeah.
using crazy
Yeah.
drugs, I was the guy that would shoot up. You know what I mean? Most
Yep.
people, that's like the line they wouldn't cross.
Oh
Even like
yeah.
pretty diehard partiers that I've known over the years, people who would even like smoke crack and shit. But the needle thing was like a weird
Yep.
line, and I'd never crossed that line until I did. You know what
Yep.
I mean? So with that in mind, like apply that kind of extreme lifestyle fearlessness that I was exhibiting applied to my music,
Yeah.
like, and then Addicts was totally different than Assassins. It's like, hey, if we didn't fucking lose you on the first one, let's try again. You know?
Yeah. In all seriousness, that's the one knocked record I really haven't listened to. I mean, obviously I've listened to it
Yeah.
um briefly here and there, and I remember some of the standout moments, but in general, I'm just not super
I don't
familiar
like that
with
one
that
much
record to
either,
begin
brother.
with. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was like a cautionary tale that I should have listened to. Chris wrote most of the lyrics on that record. I think I
Okay.
wrote one set. Chris Black wrote nine. Chris Black, I think he was trying to send me a message about myself. Do you think? You know, Read that
Yeah.
shit. It's miserable and it's so telling. And the thing that killed me and allowed me to perform the songs, to the degree of goodness that I did, which I think that I don't hate the vocals on it. It's not one thing I don't like on it. And
Yeah.
fucking it's because they're telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
He's like telling me like what he's seeing happen to me right in front of me, and
Yeah.
he's telling me through these stories that he's applying to my music. He never said it to me like, hey man, and actually let me think about that. Actually, I think Chris might have been one of the few people that actually tried to like have a one-on-one intervention with me early on. to try to
Mm.
stop me from fucking continuing down. I'd been like dicking around with the needles for like a month or two, and he knew it.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
believe I remember
Yeah.
he came to my house and like tried to talk to me about it, and obviously failed. But yeah, he was trying to tell me through those for sure, though. You know what I mean? And it was that
I mean,
album's just got a really dark fucking you know, a dark world was being lived around that record by everyone on it. You know, except maybe Will, the bass player. I don't know what his life wasn't in fucking shambles at that point, but most of the rest of us were in some way or another. You know, especially me, Whitehead, and Jef. Jef was an alcoholic. I was doing heroin. Jeff's doing fucking dope again here and there. He hadn't totally relapsed yet, but he was getting there. He was drinking. You know, that album's like real, man. It's
it's a dark record, that's for sure, and it's
yeah.
part of why I kind of have a harder time. Maybe why, and
You know how
you
many
know,
people have written to me telling me that that record saved their life in some way? I swear to God,
that's cool, man.
I
That's
have
cool.
heard that probably close to 30 or 40 times from different
Mhm.
people since we made it. And I've heard it as recently as the last 6 months.
Yeah,
It's crazy, man. When I get those emails make me love that record. You know, I had a guy
that's
tell me
kind of
he
it.
listened to it in jail. He had an MP3 player
Damn.
and had it. Yeah, I was like, you got to listen to music. He goes, I was in federal prison. I'm like, oh, you weren't at
Yeah.
county jail. I get it.
No.
You know, they do let them have like little fucking headsets
Yep.
and shit nowadays, I guess, if you're in, you know, a medium or minimum security place. But anyways, prison is still prison, bro. And he said that he listened to Addicts, specifically the album, to drown out the sound of men crying at night.
Hmm.
How heavy is that, bro?
Yeah,
In prison.
that's fucking heavy, dude.
Dude,
That's
right?
fucking heavy.
Like,
And
dude,
it's
like I'm like silencing that for you. That's what you choose to listen to. I'd assume he has some options on his little thing, right?
you would think,
That's
yeah,
a fucking like I don't know about you, but I'd have to think pretty hard about like what can I listen to possibly make me not think about the fact that I'm here. You
yeah,
know? Those are it's like that's cool shit, I think, man. And the guy told me he's like, it got me through it. It was like, you know,
good shit.
yeah, just shit like that,
And
man. Those are like the greatest moments. And those
well,
records, for some reason,
yeah,
the one I hear about Assassins from people isn't that it saved their life. It's that was like their high school black metal record that got them into the genre. I've heard that
yeah,
from a lot of guys a little older than you that were like
yep.
17, 18 when that record came out.
Hmm.
So those
I
are
can
people
see
that really
that.
liked it. I did not realize Century Media's ability to still reach and get kids. But looking back on it, that's exactly when I discovered them. And they were the first company that was selling me that music, you know, in the mid 90s.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. And just about the Addicts record and how, you're kind of back and forth about it, in kind of a musical artistic sense, but there's all these people like giving you like crazy
I don't like the
stories.
mix. That's my problem with it. I
That's
don't like
got
the
to
guitar
be,
tone and I don't like the mix.
yeah, yeah. But that juxtaposition though of like you viewing the record kind of on a critical level, like as an artist, as the person that created it. And I mean, again, like I'm not super into it. Like High on Hate is a cool song.
Yeah, see,
Um,
that's not one that I like really either. That feels like a song that I wrote in 5 minutes to fucking add one more to the 10 I needed.
the
You know what I mean?
lyrics are kind of cool. I kind of dig it.
See,
Um,
I thought those were cheesy, man. That's one of the sets of lyrics that Chris wrote that I am not a huge fan of, but other people say that too. So that makes me feel better. Thank you.
yeah, and I think you played it on that Roadburn record, I believe, too, the live at Roadburn,
Yeah, we did. We used to play it
which is
live
part of
quite a
why I
bit.
like it.
It's
Yeah,
cool live, man. It's got the
yeah.
big floor toms hit during the
Mhm.
blast. And what that is that's like us fucking trying to do the Vaughn thing. Vaughn used to
Yep.
always hit a fucking floor tom
Yeah.
instead of a fucking crash cymbal, which I thought was just this awesome, weird, very caveman way
Oh,
to
that's
play
hard,
or
man.
to accent, you know?
That's
So
fucking hard.
yeah, we do that all over that song, and that's what that is. Total Vaughn worship. What's up, Jason?
Yep.
If you're watching this, who I just got off of a fucking call with a couple hours ago. That guy's a
Yeah.
trip.
I can imagine.
We'll talk about that another
Well,
time. But yeah, I should.
yeah, yeah.
If things go as planned, I'll be playing on a Vaughn record pretty soon. So I'll announce that here, I guess, which I'm really excited about. I was supposed to do it in 2011, but I was strung out on heroin, and I was honest with him and told him that I'm going to ruin your record.
Yeah.
Don't work with me now. If I survive this, we'll do it later, and it's cool. We're doing it.
Yeah, doing it later. And yeah, that's wicked. I mean, again, Vaughn is that's like year zero of fucking a lot of black metal shit.
Yeah, dude. And the things that I've come to learn about Jason, like people talk so much shit about him because he wasn't actually on the demo that got recorded that everyone heard on Satanic Blood because he had flown back home to Hawaii to take care of a sick relative, and his bandmates recorded it with somebody else. He was financing it. He was okay with it. He was like the band leader, and he was still involved and like talking to them as it was all happening. He just happened to be out of town for the year that Satanic Blood got recorded and distributed.
Yeah.
Like it's weird how shit like that happens, but that's right. They were a band for a couple of years back in Hawaii before that.
Yeah.
And then he moved all of the guys to San Francisco to start Vaughn. And then he had to fly home. And there was like a whole issue where they were like, we don't want to be in San Francisco. We're kind of stranded here, bro. And he's like sending them money to pay for their apartments and stuff. So there's this whole backstory. And when he reappeared, he had no idea Vaughn had ever gotten popular. He found out about it in the late 90s. Like all the dudes in the band, they had no clue, because it wasn't popular at the time. And his whole story is just really, really wild though, dude. And then like, as I've gotten to like know him even better, man, he was in the Air Force. You got to be really smart to be in the Air Force and good at some
really
special shit.
Really?
You didn't know that?
No, you might have told it. You might have mentioned it before. You didn't
know you had to be super smart to be in the Air Force, or you didn't know that Jason was in the Air Force?
Oh, no, I didn't know he was in the Air Force.
Yeah. He was in the Air Force and doing like super fucking like high level clearance, OSS level shit, man. Like I don't know how much I should say here because he's told me a lot of this in confidence, I think. But he has told me things that if I heard it from any other human being, I'd think they were fucking lying to me and out of their mind. But I know. I've talked to him so fucking much and known him for so long at this point that I know he's telling the truth. And I know other people that know him too. They're like, yeah, that's all legit shit. Jason's
wild, man.
Not a fucking liar. Jason's like anything but. So he is a really, really wild guy, man. I'm like super, super excited to finally get to work with him. He's a trip.
Yeah, it's just crazy that like a high IQ like Air Force like operative dude was also like defining aspects of first wave like in the second wave black metal.
Do you know what the best part is? Do you know what it all is, dude? This is the best part, and the thing that I was shocked most by, and this I'm sure he would be okay with me sharing because he says it to everyone. He just told me that tonight. It's like said Vaughn's purpose has been to expose what he calls the satanic cabal, which call it the deep state, whatever, right? But like take it to like a fucking like imagine like that with like access to Area 51 type shit that he's supposedly seen or been made privy to a point that he believes it, as much as we're talking to each other.
Totally. Yeah.
It's insane, man. It's so crazy. And he's like, yeah, man, Vaughn's whole thing has been about exposing the satanic cabal, that they're blood drinkers and they're the demonic forces, they're the shadow people. Like, it's wild, bro. He's like, my job is to bring people to the light. Vaughn is about enlightening people to this reality. Like, I did not think that's what he was talking about. Do you know
Hell yeah, man.
How fucking cool is that, dude?
That's
it's like he's been telling us about the deep state since 1990.
That's pretty sick. That's pretty awesome.
He's like he's in the fucking Air Force, like not like for a couple of years. He's like a career Air Force man. He's 50 something now. He's retired, bro.
That's nuts. I mean, if I didn't have enough reason to like Vaughn before, I mean now like I'm Vaughn's biggest fan.
No, he was also like a fucking rap manager. He managed a bunch of fucking super famous hip hop artists in the late 90s. He was working with like Corrupt, who was all over Doggy Style, Snoop Dogg's famous record. He was working with a bunch of people from the Bay Area hip hop scene, which I'm not familiar with personally, but like when he was rambling off the names, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm that guy, and I'm not like the biggest rap dude. So he was working with like some real people. It's just crazy, man. He's had such a wild ride. And that whole time over in Norway and Sweden and in my bedroom and many other black metal turds around the world's houses, we're all over there tape trade and bootlegs of Satanic Blood, and he has no idea it's happening.
Yep.
Dark Funeral is covering it, and every kid in America that bought that's hearing Satanic Blood. you know?
Well, yeah, and then the chief, the prick in chief, Varg Vikernes wears that shirt during
That
his
was the
like court
icing on the
trial,
cake,
and
man.
then
Yeah, that
yeah,
sealed the deal. That's absolutely why I wanted to listen to Vaughn the first time I sought
no
it out
kidding.
and got it, you know? It's like, oh,
Yep,
that's that band, you know?
yep,
Those
yeah.
details used to matter, man. It's crazy. Like, it's fucking crazy to think a picture of a guy in a t-shirt having that effect today, right? Unless it's
Well, and
Kanye and a version of shirt, I don't think you're gonna.
well, exactly. And I mean, it's one of those things
That's
where,
what it takes to get
yeah,
noticed,
and
right?
that's what Varg is so good at. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, he's awesome.
really, just high level, high functioning, whatever. I mean, he is a master of
I'm a
that
huge
type
fan
of
of
stuff.
Hard Bickerness. I always have been. I don't give a shit about his fucking political
I
outlook.
hear you. I just like on a personal level, I just think he's a fucking goober, and I don't like his posting on Twitter. I just think he gets really boring.
It's a
But
little cheap. He's a
anyway,
little self-indulgent, which is
it's
surprising to me.
very
It
yeah,
seems like he tries to convince you that he's not that way, but his
yes,
actions absolutely suggest that he is. You know,
totally. And when he
does that
says
make
like
sense? It's
plug
like the
in,
guy says, "I don't like Instagram that takes pictures of himself
yeah,
all day" or something. You know?
yeah, yeah. Well, that's it, right? Is he talks about how like social media is bad and blah blah, but then he like plugs his TikTok page, and he's like, look at how many views I'm getting on TikTok.
Well, bro. So I work with the same company that his records all come out on, as you know,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
currently and
Yes.
very deeply. And I know a lot about the relationship between Plastic Head and Burzum because
Yeah.
Steve, the owner of Plastic Head, has shared some things with me over the years. And I won't say like numbers or anything, but he told me that it is his opinion that Varg Vikernes is probably the most well paid independent underground musician in metal music,
There's
indie
no
rock,
doubt.
you
Yeah.
name it. He said, if you knew how much I paid that guy every month for his
Oh
merchandise
yeah.
sales, you would shit.
Yeah.
So
Well,
he
it's
has
one of those
8
things where
children and like a chateau in France.
yes.
I mean, dude, he's not going to work, you know?
No.
You
No,
know,
and that shit ain't cheap either.
bro. My friends' kids can't afford one or two, and they've
Yeah.
got college degrees and real, real people jobs.
Oh, dude, yeah. And
Like, yeah. So if you want to know where that's coming, he's not like. That's
yeah.
kind of it. Kind of makes the point you're making even more fucking unacceptable, though. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, you're making plenty of money. You don't need to be fucking hustling yourself on YouTube like this. Maybe he's trying to
Yeah,
stay relevant, dude. I don't know. I'm not 50. I also didn't spend 18 years in prison, not able to talk to my audience.
that is true. That
You
is
gotta look
true.
at it like
Yeah.
that too, dude.
Yeah.
I spent
And
28 days in jail one time and
yeah.
one night in jail another time, like fucking when I was a teenager. And
Mhm.
once as an adult, like a decade ago. And dude, that was the worst experience of my life. And I didn't get beat up. I didn't get raped. I didn't have any
No,
of that
yeah, no.
shit happen at all. It's just that awful. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine being locked up for 19 years. And I don't care if you're in North. Oh, it's like a hotel. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Go to prison yourself.
Oh.
Tell me it's like a hotel if you're there. You know,
Well,
just
and
because it's not
it's
as
just
bad as ours doesn't mean that you're not still locked in a fucking cage,
well,
unable
that's
to
the
make
point.
decisions for yourself. You know,
Is that somebody that hasn't been like involuntarily like confined to a space,
mm-hmm.
right? And it's like, it could be fine, it could be terrible, whatever, but you're
It's one
still
of
like,
the weirdest feelings you will ever experience in your life when you
yeah,
realize you have lost control because you've never felt
mhm,
it before.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
totally.
you may have thought you had, but you haven't. Not like that. I've never
No.
felt anything like it. It's the you fucking start getting like crazy thinking that like there's going to be something that happens that means I'm never going to be able to leave here. It makes you
Hmm.
feel like that. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, heavy stuff. Just real quick, because I'm curious, like, what was the recording like for Addicts that session? Did you kind of like
We were
chop it up in a
broke,
similar amount of time?
dude. I
Oh,
remember we were broke as a joke because
damn.
well, I had just gotten back from the Marduk tour we did with Marduk and Merrimack from France.
Okay.
We all traveled in a bus for a month. That was one of the best tours I've ever done. Super
Yeah.
fun, great shows. Everybody got along. It was a blast. Everybody made money. It was really, really good. So we were coming off of a high on that. That led right up to about December 10th or 12th, 2009. And then you had like the Christmas break, right? And then we were in the studio like January 3rd or 4th, starting to record Addicts. Between
Okay.
the end of that tour and January 4th, Jef Whitehead was summoned to play drums on the record because we had decided that the guy who was supposed to do it, who we had just toured with, was too fucked up to play on the album. I believe that's what happened. And we also fired our bass player after that tour. We fired John Necromancer. Not going to get into why. I like John. That whole situation was kind of just dumb drama. Shouldn't have happened the way it did, but it did.
Yeah.
And, the one thing I was sure of, and that iced the deal for him in terms of continuing on in Nachtmystium, was the fact that I knew John. John would tell me, "This is fucking gay." Those would be his exact words when he heard the music from Addicts. He did not want to play my fucking indie rock inspired, 16ths on the hi-hat disco beat shit. He was not interested in that at all. He thought all of that. I was listening to a lot of stuff like Interpol at the time and Editors and all this like artsy New York City fucking disco fucking Joy Division worship.
It's kind of classy. That's classy.
I love that shit. I still like it to this day, but not all of it. But I like those bands and their early stuff. But for sure, it was a huge influence on me. And I think it's cool. But I wasn't going to go down that road with a guy who, like, the bass on a song with drums like that is so important. I need a guy that's into it. Yep. You know what I mean? Not a guy that's gonna fucking like mock it as he's recording it and tell me that I'm writing like gay shit. It's not metal enough. It's not manly enough. Blah, John was in Usurper, dude. Go figure the guy in Usurper. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which that's why I liked Usurper. They were fucking that. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. Yeah. But I'm picking up what you're putting down. I mean, I get it. It's not. I imagine it wasn't anything super personal. It's kind of like we're not on the same like wavelength anymore.
There was that too, and I didn't like his girlfriend. There's just a bunch of shit, man. So it was time for change, and that was fine. So the crazy thing is though, like I said, bro, you remember I said I got off tour on I do believe the last show was December 10th, and then I stayed in New York for like a week and hung out with some girl at a hotel. Spent a shitload of money from my tour, right? Trying to play rock star, hanging out with some girl in New York, like, let's get a fucking room in fucking Manhattan, for a week and just hang out and bang and fucking go out and have sushi and shit. That's what we did. It was cool. But I wasn't considering that we didn't have much budget that wasn't going to be chewed up by all of the expenses of the record, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not thinking ahead. And I get home, have Christmas, whatever, and then all of a sudden we're in the studio. And like nobody even has money for like fucking cigarettes, dude. Like I remember us smoking like rolled fucking buglers and drinking water out of the tap when we were.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I'm not kidding, man. Eating like really cheap frozen pizzas and like Assassins, we were ordering sushi like almost every day. We had this huge pile of money from the label. And I do not remember what it was about Addicts that cost us so much of the budget. But something did, and we just didn't have any left over. We were. I think what we were doing. I think we stayed in the studio significantly longer, and I also believe that I paid Jef Whitehead a bunch of money to play on the album. I believe I had to pay Will, the bass player, because he was just session. There was like a bunch of expenses we didn't have the time before. Okay. So, and we also had to make the follow up to Assassins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Chris and Sanford were part of the decision-making mechanisms of those sessions because Sanford was the engineer. It's his studio. He kind of, he had the ability to take the wheel from me on any subject related to the recording itself, right? And how it sounds. So him and Chris did quite a bit of that because I was in fucking, the few times we got a few bucks, man, the next thing we know, the drug dealer's there dropping off an 8-ball. And the thing different about this session was he was bringing the cocaine and a handful of Oxycontin. That was not present on Assassins. We didn't get into that shit until right around that time. And
kind of changed the mood a little bit.
Man, I got pictures of me fucking passed out with beer cans all over me on the couch during that session in the studio. And I'm not recording my guitar parts. You know what I mean? Like, I got my shit done. Don't get me wrong. But it was they had to fucking force it out of me on several occasions, and things took way longer than they should have because I was like in a nod. You don't write good music when you're on fucking heroin, bro. It's not like you think Keith Richards is on heroin. Do you know any fucking Rolling Stones records from the 80s? I don't. You know what I mean? That's why. So it's it's funny because at the time you think it's good. It's like, oh man, this is this new door I've opened. First it was the weed and beers, and then that was the coke and what that did. Now I got this, and I'm just like, everything's perfect. It's like too perfect, man. Like you're not feeling anything. You cannot possibly express yourself correctly. You're numbing out all of the fucking, all the pain and bullshit. And you're not far enough into this yet, speaking for myself at the time, to be able to know how to create under those circumstances. I did figure it out at one point because I did heroin for a long fucking time and kept making records. But what you notice is I didn't make great records. I made pretty good records, but not great records. Worldfall, not a great record. You know what I mean?
No, but you put me onto those 2 tracks on World
There's
Left
a
Behind
couple songs that are good,
really
good, but like, dude, that album sucks overall. Like, it's embarrassing.
It's tricky. It's tricky.
I was just a mess, bro. Those songs only exist because that was like the one time when I felt like I had a gun to my head from a record label and a date that I had to turn it in by.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was awful. And I was in like withdrawals.
Bummer.
Literally like half of the time we were there. We lived at the studio for 3.5 weeks for The World We Left Behind in Wisconsin, like 2 hours from Chicago. So I was like having to go back and forth every couple of days to go get drugs. And didn't have money a lot of the time then too. By then things had gotten pretty fucking bad in my personal life too. I was just consistent. I was a junkie. You're always broke. You're always bumming $5. It had gotten to that point. So that's why that album sucks. It's it is what it is, and that's part of the story. It's cool because it helps makes the other ones shine after the fact, right?
I would say so. And again, I think all things considered, like the moments that are good on World We Left Behind, I think in my opinion, they get a little bit better when you kind of realize like the situation that y'all were in.
People knew how fucking sick I actually was, and the fact I wrote that entire album, and I mean every fucking note of it, except for 2 songs in the studio. And the 2 songs I wrote outside the studio, we played once each and recorded them in the basement 2 weeks before. So it was barely written. And I was in that condition. And I wrote that record, literally would be like, the engineer would be like, dude, you've been in bed sick for 3 days. Like, we got to get to work. You have to write 6 more songs at least, or you're not going to fulfill your contract. And we're now down to 12 days left, and you've been here for 10 already or something, and we've worked 4 because you're sick as fuck every other day because you don't have any money for your drugs. You got to get this figured out. But the engineer actually called Century Media and told them to send me money for heroin, or they weren't going to get their record, and they did, as I recall.
Man, that's intense, dude. That is intense.
Yeah,
really intense.
It's pretty fucking crazy, bro. Of course, they didn't say it was for that. Like, they're like, oh, we'll give him the fucking money for this or that he wants. But that's what it was for. Chris Carlin said, give Blake an advance for his publishing on this record or something, because
somebody knew what it was for.
And ironically, the second I had it, I was fine, and I shit out all those good songs that the couple that are good on it. That's what else happened, I'm sure. It's a sad reality, but like, it's better to have. If you're with someone in that condition, make sure they have their drugs. If you have a fucking like project you have to get done, that's just
at that point,
it's not up to anyone. that's just gonna fucking go one way if it's not there, So
especially with that. Because so when did Silence and Machine come out? Was that before World We Left Behind or after?
No, that's before. That was the other.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Heroin addiction record. The only reason that album is better is because I had a better band back then. I had my touring band, the band that toured the Cradle of Filth tour in the United States, which
cool.
Will Lindsay from Indian and Wolves in the Throne Room, Charlie Fell on drums, and Andrew Margashevsky on guitar, both of them from Lord Mantis. We'd been touring with that lineup. Essentially, I'd been playing with Charlie and Drew for 3 years at that point, and we were on tour constantly, man. We were on tour for like 6 to 9 months a year for 3 or 4 years there. It was a lot of fun, and we got really fucking tight by that point. So we were kind of able to go into the studio again. Like, I remember writing songs with Charlie and Drew 72 hours before the recording sessions were starting. We had just gotten off tour too. We came back, we're like, fuck, we gotta go record a record.
Yeah.
And I'm all like, fucking, I remember trying to shoot up in the bathroom for 20 minutes before one of those rehearsals. I can see it in my head right now. And we were like 3 days away from going back into the studio, the R. Kelly studio that I talked about earlier. We went back to that place for Silencing Machine because we had a really big budget for that one.
Okay.
We had signed for Century Media, or with Century Media for the world at that point. Previously, we were only on CM in North America. We were on Candlelight.
Okay.
Right. So the big
Interesting.
decision between Addicts and Silencing Machine was, what label are we going to stay with? Are we going to go with Candlelight Worldwide, or are we going to go with Century Media Worldwide? It made more sense to go with Century Media at the time. So,
Yeah.
and that proved to be the better move because, you know, Candlelight wound up getting sold. So
Yes.
it was a wise move. And, you know, Century Media just had more reach and just a bigger footprint. The Candlelight has plenty of fucking accolades, but they're not quite as big as CM was. And we had ambition to try to keep fucking, you know, cranking the wheel on this thing. And my bandmates are probably hoping that at some point it'd get big enough that I'd hopefully get my shit together, you know? And so anyways, we shit out a couple tunes at the rehearsal room, I remember. I remember writing Dawn Over the Ruins of Jerusalem. I remember writing Silencing Machine with Drew. I remember writing what the fuck is that song called? The Lepers of Destitution. And we had already written and recorded I Wait in Hell from Silencing Machine. That was actually recorded in the summer of 2011. We did a split 7-inch with Murmur, this other band from Chicago. They're originally from Green Bay, Wisconsin, but Matt moved down to Chicago for a while. And I had just helped him get signed to Season of Mist, with whom they released one record, self-titled album that's really good. But anyways, we did the 7-inch EP, and that original recording of I Wait in Hell, which is actually the same version on Silencing Machine. It was just remixed when we were mixing Silencing Machine. We remixed that song to make it sound more like the album. And it was recorded at the same studio. So, but we did that, and we did the bonus track for Silencing Machine in that 2011 session as well, which was a re-recording of Ashes to Ashes, which is out there. It was a bonus track on the European Digipack CD version of Silencing Machine. Why they would take a song that's like such a fan favorite like that we re-recorded at a pro studio and make it the bonus track for like the UK edition of the, like, what the fuck? What a waste of a song, goofy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whatever, it's not my fucking label. So, but we recorded 2 other songs in that 2011 session that got released as a 7-inch called As Made. That came out in the months leading up to Silencing Machine. They did a big, you know, like lead up run of press and PR bullshit and ads in magazines, because now Century Media is really going for it with us, right? And they did not know that I had developed this insane heroin problem yet. Or if they did, they didn't know it was as bad as it was. So they put a shitload of planning and money, and here's your whole team. There's like 7 people that you got to fucking email. It was like, that was when being in the band stopped being fun for me. Yeah. And wouldn't have been fun if I was sober either. Like, I just don't, that's impersonal as fuck. I like working with Greg at Southern Lord, who has like 1 employee, right? And like hanging out with him. And like, if I have a problem, I could call the fucking president of the company. I don't got to go through fucking Andreas or whoever in fucking Europe at the German office and so on and so forth. And I'm on dope, dude. So it was like impossible for me to keep up with this shit because I'm fucking trying to hustle money to get drugs all day, most days, you know, or I'm fucked up nodding out, fucking relaxing for the first time since, you know, being dope sick earlier that day or whatever. So eventually it became real clear to them that like this was not going to be the band that was going to get another one of these huge pushes like that record got. But as part of that, they did this 7-inch called As Made, which has that song on it, which literally sounds like a Ministry song. It's like the one, if we ever made like an actual industrial track, it was that. Cool. I think Drew wrote it. I didn't even write it. And I sang on it though. And then on the other side, we did a Joy Division cover, which was really cool. Of oh god, why am I having a fucking brain fart on this? Oh, it's called The Eternal. It's from from the Closer album, which is like the lesser popular of the two. You know, you always see the fucking the little hipster kids with the Joy Division shirt with the lines on it. That's Unknown Pleasures. they only did 2 records in like a BBC Sessions thing. So
Yep.
this is the other one, and that's a really miserable song from the end of that. So that was cool. We'd never done anything like that before. Chris Connolly from Ministry and Revolt and Cox, like the original good Ministry, not modern rebuilt Ministry cover band with Al Jorgensen singing. Like the OG band that made Psalm 69. There's Chris Connolly was the vocalist on like Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste and Land of Rape and Honey. Him and Al split those vocal duties, so that was super cool for me to have him appear on our Joy Division cover. What's also cool, that dude is the only person I know who actually saw Joy Division. Like literally, he's from Manchester. And he grew up through that period. He used to hang out at the Factory Records nightclub, and that was the record label, you know, where all that shit happened. And that was like, that all happened in like a 3-year window. Joy Division was a band for less than 24 months, actually, if I remember correctly. Just over or just under 2 years before I killed himself. So yeah, he was there for that. So that's kind of a cool little thing for me too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The guy singing my cover, you know?
Yeah.
Pretty neat. I've never met anybody that saw Joy Division other than him.
Yeah, I mean, now that you mention it, I mean, yeah.
It's crazy. Can I put you on hold for 1 second? I gotta take a piss, brother.
Oh yeah, feel free, man. I'll pause it.
All right, cool.
I'll do the same. So.
He's one of the top guys. And fucking Geffen got convinced to sign Nirvana by Thurston Moore, who then took Nirvana on tour right when Nevermind came out. I believe it was like the week it was released or a week afterwards or whatever, right at the beginning. Took Sonic Youth and Nirvana on the road as Nirvana was supporting them. And that was the tour that like kicked everything off, combined with the record label pushing Smells Like Teen Spirit on MTV. Yep. That's the dude that got into the studio with my Black Meddle band from that world, which was insane for me, man. That happened. This is like right in our timeline too, dude.
Yeah.
After Silencing Machine and before The World We Left Behind. Okay. In August of 2013, I was a fucking disaster. I was in the worst shape then I've ever been in my life, probably. Short of when I was homeless. I was like well on my way to that. That was like almost a year before I got thrown in the slammer for pawning that guitar in 2015, famously. That mugshot everywhere. That was awesome. Having some guy in jail be like, "Oh my God, are you Blake Judd from Nachtmystium?" As I'm like getting my color, my fucking jail clothes. I'm like at the window. I swear to God, this is what happened. That motherfucker went and emailed Lamb Goat 2 seconds after I was at that window and told him that I was in jail. Next thing you know, it's all over metal.
Let me just give my PSA really quick. We at Elitist Tendencies never talk to journalists. Don't talk to journalists. Anybody watching this, I will find you and attack you with this hammer if you talk to journalists. Anyways,
I'm not talking to a journalist. You're kind of a journalist.
I'm not a fucking journalist.
No, you're a fucking blogger, bro.
Something else. I'm just anything else.
You're a fucking surveyor, bro. First and foremost.
Yeah, you goddamn right I am. Yeah, that's gotta be worth something, right?
It's okay that you're a journalist too.
Yes, it's all okay now. Tell me about the guitar thing, because it's one thing I don't really know about, or not a whole lot about. And obviously, you hear the guitar that you pawned, and then you ended up doing like a stint in jail or whatever.
Some juicy shit. Okay, so I lived with this roommate after my ex. I was married to her for like a year. This chick, that should have never happened. I was so fucked up the whole time. Anyways, though, we had split up, and I moved out of the last apartment that we shared together in December of 2012. In like the 4 months, actually more, I think it was about a year. In that last year that I was with her, I just so happened to come back in touch with this kid that I went to fucking middle school with this guy, right? I had not seen him since maybe my freshman year of high school in 1997. But the reason that this person is like part of my story is because on my 14th birthday in 8th grade, November 13th, 1996, me and this guy stole my dad's fucking company car, which at the time was like a brand new Oldsmobile Aurora. And those were like 40
Damn.
grand then. So it's like a
Oh yeah.
$65,000 car by today's standards, right? And his work gave it to him and paid for it, right? He just got a promotion. What do? He's had it for a week. Hey man, let's fucking take this thing out. Because this buddy of mine had been stealing his dad's Corvette at night and coming and picking me and my brother up. And we'd go drive around the neighborhoods. We're 13, dude. It was like we thought we were fucking, the
Nice.
baddest motherfuckers in the world. It was, I remember those nights. They were like, I don't know, man. Looking back on it, I felt very alive in those moments.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It
man.
was like the
Yeah.
first really bad thing. We were committing fucking felony, bro.
Yep.
So, anyways, my buddy, the night we decided to take my dad's car out, is the night he decides to wrap it around a tree at like 70 miles an hour with my
That's how
little
it
brother's
goes.
car and two other friends of ours, right? So it was like a big fucking deal in my life, dude. I remember I did not leave my house for like 5 months. My parents grounded my ass and fucking took my records away. They took my stereo away. Like it was a big event in my life, right? So it's kind of
Damn.
weird that me and this dude, his name is Dustin, would wind up living together as heroin addicts in 2012 or in 2013. But he had popped up in that last year I was with Christy, like on Facebook or something. And me being the guy who like is barely hanging out with my own friends because I'm so preoccupied in the shitty part of the heroin years, my money had run out. I'd sold a lot of my shit off. Like it was starting to become difficult to get high every day and become a serious burden to my social life. And and somehow I get a message from this old friend who I crashed a car with in 1996 and haven't talked to since, who's like, last I saw him, he was like on his way to a fucking Fish concert. He's not a metalhead. And this guy resurfaces. He's a DJ now. He's like an EDM guy, and he's at the art. He was not at the art. It's Columbia College in Chicago, getting an advanced music degree. And he's been making like electronic music in his house. This is what he's telling me. I'm like, no way, man. So his dad's a lawyer. And I remember when we were kids, like I said, he had a Corvette. This kid comes from fucking money, much bigger money than we had in my house. I'll put it like that. And it became clear to me quickly that nothing had changed. I'm like, where are you living, man? He's like, I live on the 20th floor of one of those two big towers at the corner of Clark and Lakeshore Drive in Chicago, which, for the record, is 5 blocks from Wrigley Field, where the Cubs play. It's in Wrigleyville, which is like the hippest, nicest, like rich white neighborhood in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
And it's got a huge nightlife scene, an obnoxious one. It's like a jock frat boy weekend warrior scene. It's nowhere you or I would want to go, but there's a lot of fucking money up there. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of shit happening, and it's expensive to live there. Well, this dude lives in like a fucking penthouse, 20th story studio apartment that's significantly larger than any studio apartment I've ever seen. And his dad's got some client that owes him 500 grand. So he's paying it off by letting Dustin live there for free. And this is the kind of building that has a guy that goes and gets your car and has it running, waiting for you when you walk into the garage after coming down the elevator. There's like a button. It's crazy, bro. So I'm hanging out with this dude for the first time in years. And this is while me and the girlfriend are still together. And we went to a Bears game. That's what it was. And we, get halfway through it and we're like, neither of us gives a shit about football. And at some point we had started talking about cocaine. And like, I casually like made a crack joke. I put the feelers out there. I was way into crack at the time. And his eyes light up. I'm like, bingo. This dude fucking gets down. And next thing I know, we're out of there. We're over in the hood scoring, right?
Yeah.
So we've gone from like not seeing each other since we were kids and crashing a car together to calling me out of the blue. I hang out at the bar once, we go to a Bears game, and now we're smoking crack. So my wife and I at the time, our relationship completely falls apart. I'm falling apart, and he knows it. And like I said, he's living in this apartment, this beautiful apartment that his dad's fucking shitty client that can't pay his bills pays the rent for. So it's no sweat off his balls if somebody's staying there with him. He's like, and I like company. He's like, you want to come stay with me? I'm like, fuck yeah, bro. So I lived with this dude for all of 2013, all the way up until I started recording The World We Left Behind, which he played on. He's the fat guy with the fucking scarves, all the goofy scarves, and like I think he might have a beanie on. And
No
the guy who looks completely out of place in the band photo, the one that I'm like gray in. I look like I fucking haven't showered in a week, and I probably hadn't. Yeah, he's actually on the record, which is crazy. So this dude is a junkie, does heroin with me every fucking day. If we don't have money for drugs, no problem. He's got a fucking debit card that belongs to his parents' bank account. Yeah. Goes and pulls them. It's wild, bro. So I'm just like, this is great. I don't suffer any consequences. I can continue getting high and with my bullshit. And I have a roof over my head. You know, Chicago winters are cold, bro.
Yeah.
So anyways, I let this guy play on my fucking record. I fucking, you know, was a pretty good buddy to him, man. Like, and one thing we did all the time, and I mean all the time, we probably did it fucking 15 times in the 9 months I lived with him. We pawned one of his many, many, many guitars. When I say many, he has like 20. And they're all like $1,500 or more. Mm-hmm. He's a rich kid. He didn't fucking work for any of them since mommy and daddy bought, right? So he and I would, but we would pawn them. And then the other thing I knew is that all he had to do is wait until they were about to get taken. They're going to be like, hey man, if you don't pay your pawn, we're going to repo this shit and keep it and sell it.
Yep.
It would get to day 59 or whatever. And then he'd call his mom and his mom would call and pay for the guitars every time. So, and he knows this. So at some point, right before we're going into the studio, it dawned on me, I have no money and I have no dope. How the fuck am I going to make The World We Left Behind? Like I told you earlier, I was sick most of the time. The reason I was sick most of the time instead of all of the time was because of the guitar that I pawned that belonged to him. I didn't tell him I did it. He didn't even notice it for weeks. You know? Like, he noticed it because it was in the fucking pawn shop and you could see the case behind it. And he went in himself to pay a bill on one of his other guitars and saw his case.
He's like, what the
and asked what it was, and he didn't know I had put it in there. He had loaned me 2 guitars to record the record with. What he did not realize was that one of the guitars was to record the record with, and the other one was to fucking get a loan for so I could get enough drugs to actually make and record my record that he's supposed to play on. That's the fucking truth, right? And I was literally less than 72 hours from getting paid by Century Media for money that came. I went to prison or to jail on like October 1st or 2nd of 2013. And I had that money in my account within 48 hours. Like I knew it was coming. And that was the money I was going to use to go get his guitar out. I also couldn't pay my phone bill though. And the fact that my phone got turned off, he thought I was ducking him about the guitar conveniently right before I have to pay for it or he's going to lose it. And he spazzed out and he's such a selfish, spoiled little bitch that he called the fucking police on me. And when they told him, they're like, you sure you want to press felony charges on your friend? This is going to be a felony. Wound up like not being like a, you know, it's like knocked down to a misdemeanor, but like that the charge is felony charge initially. And it's like his dad's a lawyer, bro. You know, he knows what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
And he did it anyways. And then he had the chance to fucking like not come to court. And he came to fucking court. You know? It's like, bro, like, what is your fucking deal, man? He has no reason to expect this from me. Despite the fact that, like, I was on drugs and shit at the time, but I just lived with him for 9 months, dude. I had 100 opportunities to steal from that dude, and I never did. You know, because that's not who I am. It's like, not, it's like, drugs make you do really desperate shit if you're in really desperate situations. You know, my situation hadn't been that desperate. Why would I do that? So anyway, so that dude being impulsive and emotional is why that all happened. And to this day, I have to deal with that bullshit, man. You know, it's all over the internet. It doesn't matter if I got convicted or not. I got convicted in the court of public opinion pretty severely enough that if you put Blake Judd into Google, you find all that shit first to this day.
Oh, for sure.
And
And
there's
you
another
know,
Blake Judd out there that's like a pretty famous film director that makes music
yep,
videos and shit for like Marilyn
yep,
Manson and a bunch of country bands. And he's not even in those top results. They're still that powerful of pieces because they got viewed so many times.
yeah.
It's terrible, man. I hate it. It's why I have to fucking like, it's why I'm doing these videos, man.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know, like you couldn't have caught me for long periods of time in the amount of times that we've been doing this when I was in the condition I was back then. It would be a tell just to see me because I'd look so
Yeah.
fucked up or I'd be all skinny and gaunt and big black rings and look like shit, you know? So,
Hmm.
so I'm still playing cleanup from all of that in a sense. Maybe I don't need to as much as I think I do because it's me, you know? But
Uh,
it's
maybe. I mean,
definitely
and
like
that's
that was
your
a
call, right?
that that cratered a lot of shit for me with that
Yeah.
happening, you know?
Well, of course, because
And
when you
the
have something on your,
misconception was that it had something to do with stealing from fans, which it did not. And if I had done what people say I did with that as extremely as they act like I did, I would have caught a criminal charge. I never got charged or even approached by police about any of that ever, not even once,
yeah,
because
yeah, and
it wasn't as fucking widespread and far out of control as people act like it was. I'm not saying it didn't
yeah,
happen, but it was like 80 people, dude. It wasn't like 800 people.
no, and it's one of those things where, and we've talked about this before. I just think people are pretty naive when it comes to the realities of,
Yeah,
you
they're the
know,
same people that think Jason got off the hook about his CP stuff with
yeah,
Inquisition,
right,
pedo crap.
right,
It's like, no, you
yeah.
idiot. He paid a fucking lawyer and doesn't have a criminal background and pled down to a lesser charge. That's
Yeah.
what you do, you
And
know?
I mean, again, he lives in a state that's
And you look,
very notorious for being soft on crime.
yeah,
And I'm
bro, it's a state that
sure,
it's illegal to be a pet or it's illegal to fuck animals in Washington. Did you know that?
yeah, well, and
Bestiality, bro.
did you get fact checked there?
Yeah, he goes, did you get fact checked? How the fuck do you know that? I've heard that 100 times.
Because you told me that and I Googled it.
But then it's Oregon. It used to be or something. Yeah, there's a bunch of fucking gross things about that. And then like go to Seattle,
Yeah,
man. Look what they tolerate in their fucking in their streets. Yeah,
well, totally. And the point is, I'm sure he could have wheeled out some argument, about how, he hasn't offended before. And like,
bro,
look, I'm
there's
just
no
downloading these
excuse
weird
for that
videos
shit
off the
but
internet.
once.
No. And yeah, I guess my point with that, people are naive about the realities of just addiction and what addiction to hard drugs
Oh,
actually does
yeah.
to people
Oh,
mentally.
totally. It
And it
gets you down
rewires.
to
Yeah,
every fiber of your being. Sorry, I didn't mean to interject.
exactly. No, no, no,
Like
no.
that,
I mean,
bro.
it's a
It
conversation.
couldn't ever figure out like why do people fucking have such a fucking issue with me sometimes. It's not always. The people that don't have issues with me are people like you. And
Yeah.
look at your life. Look at the things you have, the kind of life you live with like a woman that wants to be there with you. And like, you're successful in what you do
Well,
and you're
it
smart,
just
and you're outgoing, you're extroverted, and people like you.
and
That's
it,
me.
yeah, it's the
Like
number
in
of people
terms of
that
reality.
call like point blank. They'll just say like, "Oh, you're gay, bro." It's like actually, I'm not gay.
That's funny,
Like,
man. You'd be like, actually, yeah, yeah, I'm polar opposite, bro. Like, yeah, you wish you were hitting this shit. Yeah, that's how I feel.
yeah, really bizarre.
I don't need to flex on those people, man. My whole existence is a flex on these dipshits.
Yeah, no, and again, it's one thing. Going back to the Predator Phoenix shit, and I get that it's kind of a cornball move by the label. I could see that, but that's what I appreciated about it is that kind of kernel of, like, yeah, fuck you guys. Like
Oh,
we're
yeah, for
back.
sure,
We're
man.
doing it. We're doing it. We're doubling down. Like fuck all of you.
Yeah, the thing that made me most mad about that situation is that it made people think that's what the song was about when the song was about the culture in America at the moment.
Yeah,
Or that you're not humble and think it's funny.
And that, yeah, that too, like that, it also made it seem like if the song was about that, it's saying that I have no regrets for it and no remorse. That's insane. And they like put
fair
those words,
point. Fair
just no
point.
remorse. And they put those words in between clips of people talking about the fucking bullshit with the t-shirts from years ago. That is
Yeah,
going to be interpreted by anybody as that's what the fuck they're singing about. That, you know what I mean?
for
Like,
sure. And
how the fuck
yeah,
did he not fucking realize that? It
this is the
infuriated me.
part of me. This is the part of me that secretly wants to be like an asshole to losers on the internet, right? Not secretly.
Please
Um,
do.
Yeah.
Do
So
it for me
that's also
because
where
I
I'm
don't
coming
do it. I
from.
try to take the high road.
Oh,
If
well,
I have
I
a
mean, you
problem with someone
see,
that's serious enough that I'm going to say something about it, I'm probably
yeah.
going to fucking find a way to touch them in real life instead.
So you see the way that I conduct like my stuff on the timeline. Like I'm a pretty above board person in general. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to try to have a conversation, but that's kind of what I mean is, and you can ask anybody in my personal life. It's like, it's not that I'm an asshole, but there's like an asshole in the back of my brain
Oh
that,
yeah. Same here.
yeah. Anyways, you get it. You get it.
Yeah.
Um,
You're just smart, dude.
Something like that. I guess I'm at the point now where I can start telling people like, yeah, I'm actually maybe a little smart and maybe kind of
I think you
have
are. You're
somebody
like
else.
one of the more intelligent people I've talked to from your age group,
I
certainly
appreciate that.
in
Yeah, and
all
the bar
walks
is
of
very
life.
low, and I'm trying to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
Definitely because
Yeah, the bar
I
is
run
pretty
it.
low, man. So you could go be a
Yeah,
fucking king amidst fucking dipshits.
I'm trying, man. It's shocking some of these
Hire a
burnouts
flag
and
and take over.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely a rationale to that. Yeah. Oh my God. I wasn't trying to get super derailed into that because
Well,
it's just
I
this
want
like,
to save it for the resilient blight privilege thing too, a little bit.
okay. Because it's just such a mire of bullshit.
Mhm.
And just getting like caught up in that side of like the discourse. It's just really stupid. And it's a whole lot of people that they don't really want to have an argument. They don't want to discuss any of this stuff or
No,
actually
they're right, you're wrong, fuck you, and then they block you
exactly.
the second that you like fucking make them look stupid or ratio them or something.
Or just anything. Yeah. You just push back and you say, well, I mean, again,
I couldn't imagine hating my life enough that I had to sit around and try to shit on somebody else for something they did a decade ago.
yeah.
Like, that's not a big deal anymore. That
Yeah.
nobody got physically harmed by. Almost everybody got refunded. Some people got refunded twice. Some people also got free records, like a majority of them. Like,
Yeah. And, that
we made this shit good with
documentation
the people that actually were hurt by this, and anyone else saying anything can shut the fuck up.
for
That's how I feel.
sure.
Take a
And
fucking walk back to 2013 if you want to talk about things. That's 13 fucking years ago. You know,
yeah, and there's documentation from Century Media and other stuff too about the
absolutely. Yeah,
refunds
it's
and
on the
yeah,
internet.
from
Like, I'm
it
not
is, it's out
something
there.
I can't find out the details of in 30 seconds if you put a little effort into it.
Yeah,
I have no
yeah,
reason to lie. I own what happened. But I refuse to fucking apologize to jerk offs that had nothing to do with it for any reason that are attacking me for no reason years later for
yeah,
no other reason than existing. Like, shut the fuck up, you little bitch. Like, go fucking create something or shut up, dude. Like,
yeah,
stop coming at me. You weren't there. You're just looking for something to talk about on the internet, and it's really lame.
yeah. I mean, Kanye West has been mentioned before. Yay, I don't know what his fuck, but
Yay.
how many people paid for that swastika shirt that he sold for like 30 seconds? And
Oh,
I
I
don't
know
think
someone.
anybody
I
got a
don't know if they
fucking.
ever got it though. They didn't tell
I
me.
paid for one and I never got
I didn't
it.
want to say it. Did you get it?
Hell no.
Really? He didn't send them out?
No.
Why
Fuck
didn't he
no.
get fucking canceled, bro? Let's lynch Ye for fucking taking your shirt, bro, and not sending it to you. Apparently, that's what's the punishment.
Right?
Death by tar and feathering on the internet.
Yeah, you just ruin your reputation forever. For a million billion years.
I wish you'd gotten that shirt, dude. I see you walking around in
Yeah.
Alabama with that thing.
Me too.
No,
It would
no
have
one
been
would say
fucking
anything. They'd be like, hey, man.
no. I just tell him it's a Kanye West shirt. He's a
Yeah,
black
right.
artist. I'm appreciating black art. I
Like,
mean, I had a whole
I'm doing
like
a deep
shtick.
dive on ancient Hindu symbolism.
Exactly. Like, I'm sorry, you don't like black art? Like, are you racist
They're
or
like, we're
something?
taking it
Oh my
back.
God. Yeah. I mean, I had a whole like shtick prepared. Yeah, I wanted the shirt too. It seemed like it was a pretty cool cut, like the Yeezy shirts, like, and
You know
I
what I
had
got coming?
guys.
I got the Burzum shirt with Kanye wearing the Burzum shirt.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm getting one from
yeah.
Plastic Head in my wish list.
That's a cool design. I saw a bunch of guys when I was in Houston at the Harris show. They were wearing them, and I mean, I was just, that's just fucking funny. I just like that.
I
It's
think it's
cool.
hilarious, man.
It's great. It's great stuff. Okay. So we kind of hit on Silencing Machine, World We Left Behind a little bit. Again, one thing I wanted to mention that I think is cool is I was sitting with my fiance in my car. We were, we'd like gotten dinner or whatever. And I'll listen to Black Metal occasionally, like in the car with her, just because it's just like, no, we're not playing your music. We got to listen to some of this. And she was asking me about you because obviously we're sitting up late at night doing these interviews. So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll play you some of his music. So it was Epitaph for a Dying Star off of World We Left Behind came on, and we listened to it, and
bro.
yeah, and she was just like, oh baby, I really like this song. This is great,
Precisely. That was it. That
Yeah,
was the intention.
yeah. So and that's a cool song. I have a really great appreciation for that one, and
Thanks,
is
man.
it Into the Void, Into the Abyss? I can't remember the exact
Into the
title.
Endless Abyss. That's my favorite
Into the
song.
Endless Abyss.
I
Yeah.
might re-record that, man. I did this re-recording of it, actually kind of like a reworking of the original. I had like a rough mix with no vocals and no bass on it from the actual session, like in a Google Drive or something. And I finished it myself. I never put vocals to it, but I put like new keyboards, my bass track instead of the guy who played on the record who wasn't the greatest bass player. And I was like, oh my God, I really wish I had not been so fucked up during this recording process, because like this would have been my same instinct. Like what I'm doing right now is what I would have done a couple of years ago, most likely is what I was thinking. And the re-recording of it sounded amazing. So I think I should probably fucking try that one again someday, because I really like that song. Is very honest. That song is about trying to, like, the main reason that I couldn't stop doing heroin physically is because I couldn't sleep. Like I'm talking like for a month and a half to 2 months after I'd kicked, no sleep, none. Like zero. And if I did fall asleep, I didn't notice it because it was so fucking momentarily and like fleeting. I was exhausted anyways.
Yeah, but that's not the first time I've heard that.
Like realizing like I cannot seem to stop this drug, and I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to, because this happens when I do. Yeah, it's terrible. I had to move to California to get away from that white powdered heroin in Chicago. They didn't sell that on the West Coast. West Coast is all black tar. It's different. And it's not as good. That's like a notorious thing about it, significantly so. And that's what it took to get me to actually finally completely fucking stop fucking around with that shit, because it was that good.
Yeah.
And then, but it did that to you.
Do you want to talk about your recovery process at all, like kind of at this phase? Because I know we've gotten
I'm not there yet. I wasn't there yet at all in this phase.
I figured.
I was literally getting ready to be homeless at the end of this story. You know, I was homeless and on the street for 2 years. I was going to kind of start the next one with that, because we've gone kind of long here, and that's like a huge part of what
for sure
Resilient and Blight Privilege albums are about, is those 2 years I spent on the street, and they are so insane. Like I want to go a little deep on them. So, and there's some crazy fucking stories, dude. Like walking up on people who had just been murdered before the police got there in broad daylight, shit like that, man. Getting hit with a brick by a guy I tried to fucking rob on the street because I was dope sick and I could not get any money for the life of me. Is the only time that ever happened. They beat the shit out of me and my girlfriend with bricks, like little kids, like 16-year-old dudes.
And you told me that story.
Dude. Like shit got fucking darker than you may know, man. So I survived an overdose that I should not have. That I think I've told you the story personally. About the guy finding me in the stairwell.
Oh yeah.
I told you that, right?
You
like
did,
The really crazy. Okay, yeah, we'll save that. That's like that story, that specific experience, and the immediate aftermath things that were said to me by doctors is what kind of sealed the deal on me deciding that I was going to change something about my life. And whatever it was that happened, life hasn't been perfect since then, but I have been domiciled the entire time. You know, I've had the same girlfriend in my life ever since about a year after this, you know, and I've been here 9 years. So it's to say it was a profound moment would be a massive understatement. It's sad that that's what it took, but you know, and it happened in the wake of my girlfriend dying and me finding her at our house after being out while it happened. So it's gnarly, man, but there's that is where my life changed in a way that I can never change back and wouldn't want to. It's pretty wild, man. So you say
I mean, obviously that's what it takes for some people, and you know.
Yeah, and you know, if you listen to, like, dude, I think part of the reason that people seem to like Black Privilege as much as they did, you know, it's because it tells some of that story, especially in like the last 3 songs. The B side of the LP is part privilege. That
Yeah.
part Blight is all like the commentary on the political situation and the social
Yep.
situation, the divide. And then the B-side is literally my story about being on the street, condensed
Yeah.
about my plane crashing, so to speak, to be analogous about my life. And then
Yeah.
crawling back the arduous march is about actually being on the street.
Mhm.
And then Blight Privilege is about me realizing that I need to fucking charge towards fucking the water to the west and get as far away from this place as humanly possible and stay humble and rebuild my life. And that's what that
Yeah.
song's about. I think that the fucking music and the lyrics to that song, specifically the title track on that new record,
Oh yeah, man.
probably the best expression I've ever made, where I feel like I said exactly what I wanted to say, and I don't know how I could have possibly said it better. And I don't say that
Yeah.
very often about my own stuff. Like, I think
No, you really don't. Like most of the stuff you say about your own art is pretty, critical, not in a bad way. It's not like overly, self-deprecating or anything like that. But
just
you don't say
honest,
a lot of positive stuff about your music, just in general. So yeah, that's not the first time you said that to me either. And I kind of had a feeling just because,
Well, you commented on the
yeah,
song. You're the first person to, and maybe one of the only ones to comment on really liking that song. It's kind of bummed me out the more people haven't caught on to it, because I think it's the best song on the record, personally.
yeah, I just think it's a great song in general. I mean,
So honest, dude.
I'm kind of out there, and this gets into what I really like about Nachtmystium as a project, and I've been kind of like workshopping this longer form like piece, kind of unpacking the concept of the American burzum, like the American burzum, um, and how like
What makes
Jews
someone the
just
American burzum? The what they're doing on their personal life side of things, like the murder defines Varg to a degree, or is it just the musical side?
so it's a little bit of both, and that's kind of why ultimately to me on a
It's
lot of
got,
different levels. Nachtmystium is kind of the American burzum, is
thank you.
because there's an element of, walking the walk and not just talking the talk, and also that
Undeniably,
edge,
I think that's one thing I
that
fucking hold true to my heart.
yes, and then there's that edge of kind of innovation. You're riffing off a lot of the same kinds of, motifs in the sense that Varg is pulling from, kind of
It's because Burzum's
ambient
the biggest influence on Nachtmystium from the black metal world,
for
100%.
sure,
I've
for
covered
sure.
Burzum 5 times now.
Yes, and that's another part too, is you're making that clear illusion, right? You're kind of carrying the torch forward. And also just the music of Nachtmystium itself, like Burzum is kind of this like sleep spell, like ambient kind of experiment. And
But
it's,
very
sort of
emotive.
it is
That's what I
emotive,
try
yeah.
to draw from.
But Burzum isn't personal the way that Nachtmystium is. Nachtmystium takes it more to like a personal kind of level.
It's
And
more
it's
real.
about,
It's not about trolls and goblins. It's
yes,
about fucking
exactly.
me out
Well,
in the
because
street doing that
with
shit.
Varg, it's cultural. It's about like Norway, and it's about being Norwegian and being whatever.
You can only relate
Um,
to it so much as an American, dude, for sure.
exactly. And
Yeah.
the American impulse is, well, I'm going to make this about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're individuals here, so on and so forth. I mean, I just feel like that's a very American kind of impulse.
You're very
Um,
American. That's what I like about you.
yeah, hell yeah, dude.
You know
You
what I
got
mean?
fucking this
Not
shit,
everybody
and
is, man. Like you
yeah.
just kind of have like a lot of personality traits that people associate with Americans that are not the fucking like stereotypical dipshit ones of being like fat and stupid.
No, yeah, yeah. Well, and obviously it's something that
No,
I
you're
care
like
a
an
lot
alpha
about.
alpha dude who's like gonna go fucking get his American dream. There's not a lot of people that still like kind of send a vibe off that they believe that,
No, no, they really don't. And you know,
refreshing.
it, that's kind of it's kind of I appreciate you saying that, first of all.
I
And
mean
second
it.
of all, yeah, sorry, I am flattered. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, and this is kind of an interesting like way to kind of pan out this thing that I've been working on for a while, just because I've never like talk. Yeah, you write and you write, and like writing is a kind of a solitary like thing, and I'm. What did somebody say the other day? Somebody said that like writers, writing is like a conversational art. Like you're kind of having a conversation with yourself. You're trying to convince yourself of certain ideas. It's a
Yeah.
dialogue. But I've
Or your audience.
never spoken this stuff kind of into existence before. So it's kind of interesting having you here and just like saying these ideas, and that kind of stuff. And I mean, again, like I really mean it. Like I think that Nacht is unfairly maligned as a band, and there's a lot of guys that kind of harbor resentment from that, like Assassins, Addicts, like period in the mid 2000s. They're like, oh, they're sold out. They're hipsters. It's like, well, no, like you're not a fucking hipster. And I mean, we've had this
No,
conversation on Twitter before, where it's like the guys behind Nachtmystium are not hipsters,
we've
like in the
never been
slightest.
hipsters. We're big,
No.
tall, intimidating dudes that get laid. That was what my band.
Well, and I mean,
That's
again,
what that was.
you're totally, plugged into like the art of black metal and that kind of like mindset and that attitude and stuff like that. And the people that would come afterwards, they're the hipsters. It's like the Deaf Heavens and
Yeah,
the
they arrived in my fucking shadow, as I recall.
exactly. And they were
All right,
all kind of riffing off of that initial like edge of kind of innovation that you like brought forward, I
yeah.
guess.
At some point, the hipster scene, we got too extreme for them, probably both musically and certainly like reputationally. We
Yeah.
kind of lost that scene around and after Silencing Machine because like it was becoming very well known that I had a drug problem. I hadn't done anything to piss my crowd off yet, but everybody knew I was on dope, like super bad. And I wore my lifestyle on my sleeve, you know? I'm like, yeah, I used to shoot up, dude. I'd walk around with clothes with like blood stains on them and not think anything of it, you know, like
Yeah.
not just like a little drop, like a bunch, like obvious. And I just didn't care, you know, like it was,
Yeah.
there's a certain fucking charm to people who are honest and don't leave anything to the imagination, you know, but
For sure.
some
Yeah.
people can't handle it, man. And it got too fucking real for some of these people, or they just got exposed to us personally and realized we are not soft little fucking record nerds like them, you know?
Yeah.
Like we're not just talking about this shit, dude.
We got
We're
to get
talking about
back,
it
man. We
watching
got to go
it
back.
through the music. You
Yeah.
know, that's reality. We're the real deal.
Yeah. And musically too, I could see it with Silencing Machine. Like Addicts is a dark record, but Silencing Machine,
That
it's
record's
dark on like a whole different level, kind of. It
yeah.
almost like
Oh, dude, my whole
hard to
world was a
describe.
disaster by then. We all hated each other too. Like my bandmates hated me by then, dude. All of them.
Mm,
It was dark. Charlie was on heroin too. People always
yeah.
forget that part of the story. Charlie was my drummer. Got me my first bag of heroin ever. He was kind
Okay.
enough
Yeah.
to make that connection for me. What a guy. So, you know, our whole crew, we were like a fucking gang back then. And the funny thing was is that we would have these like spats with each other. Like I just said, all my bandmates like kind of hated me at the time, as much as you hate someone that you're still working with. But like, you know, they were not happy with me most of the time. But they were still on board because there was a fucking opportunity for them in it. Obviously, you know, this was still the biggest thing any of them had going on at that moment, and possibly since. So
Yep.
it was like a fucking damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I can stay with this asshole who's all fucked up and hope things work out and get what I can out of it, or I can fucking leave and go back to my band playing the bar here locally that
Yeah. Of course.
no one
Yeah.
cares about and watch as they go on and maybe make it work, you know? So people stuck around until the bitter end those days for that reason,
Yeah.
you know? And I understand that. I would have too if I'd been them, you know, especially
Of
if you
course.
put a
Yeah.
couple of years into it, like for sure, man. Like they were pissed because, you know, I built something myself that then a group of us made really strong and big and well known for, you know, that lineup I talk about from the Cradle of Filth
Yep.
tour in North America in 2011. That is the exact same band that wrote and recorded Silencing Machine. That lineup toured Europe, headlining the one time we headlined over there for like a month with Dark Fortress in 2012. Last time we toured there. We played Roadburn for the second time and played a bunch of other festivals over there.
Yeah.
It's it's a fucking crazy time, man. It's crazy thinking about this shit, dude. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's that period was like about as good as we got. And the funny thing was, is as much as we didn't like each other, if we encountered, say, a drunk idiot at a show that was picking a fight with one of us, the whole fucking group of us,
Yeah.
if we realized what
Mhm.
was happening, would jump in together, like on him, just noticing it, like no hesitation, like dogs, like, you know,
Oh yeah.
like a pit bull that fucking sees a little dog and it's off its leash. That's how my bandmates and I used to fucking behave to protect our fucking our team, you know?
Yeah,
Didn't
I'm
happen
not
often,
surprised.
but, like, it was cool, man. Like that's what I wanted out of my band. And I only really
Yeah.
had it for a minute there with them, where we felt like a fucking, like a unit, like a little family, you know?
The manor blunt.
But well, dude, part of the fucking part of the deal to get into Nachtmystium, you have to be kind of a fucking nut, dude. I have
Yeah.
a lot of people that have floated around my universe and have tried so hard to pry into that door. I'm just in my head. I'm like, dude, I like you, but you're not the right person for this. Like,
Yeah.
I need somebody that has experienced the abyss, not just like looked at it from a distance. I want people that have stared right into it and tried to jump in. You know, because
Heavy.
there's no reason to, like, I mean, what the fuck does that person have to bring creatively?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not, I'll hire somebody to play on a tour if I need to go on tour. I'm not going on tour, you know, not anymore. But it kind of sucks because I'm really picky about who I'll play with.
Yeah.
I mean, look at my lineups, look at the fucking people on them and listen to their other records.
Yeah.
Chris Black, fucking Drew and Charlie with Lord Mantis. That band was
No
vicious,
kidding.
bro. Go listen to Perverter, man. That album is darker than any of the shit we're talking about.